Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first race of the 2022 F1 season. We've waited a few months now. Obviously, we've had testing. We've had we had a test in Barcelona. We had a test in Bahrain, and here we are now, first race of the season of the 2022. We've got obviously new regulation changes. The cars are looking really nice this year. The liveries are looking good. We've had a few driver changes as well. We've got a new rookie in this year of Zhou Guanyu. Kevin Magnussen is back in the Haas this year as well. Nico Hülkenberg is stepping in the Aston Martin with Sebastian Vettel away with a positive COVID test. First time in 15 years that Sebastian Vettel hasn't been on an F1 grid for the race. So that's a great start in itself, but hopefully Sebastian Vettel will recover for next week in Saudi Arabia. But great to see Nico Hülkenberg back. Connor, in terms of qualifying yesterday, we weren't sure where the actual paces of the cars were going to be. Charles Leclerc getting pole position, his teammate Carlos Sainz in third place, Max Verstappen in the Red Bull second. Do you think Max Verstappen would have been a little bit disappointed yesterday to not get that pole position?
Good afternoon, everyone. I think Max definitely was disappointed not to get the pole position, given how well Red Bull have performed throughout testing. And it looks as though, although Red Bull are going to be consistent with Max at the top, they're going to find it very tough battling against both of these Ferraris, similar to what they had last season with both of the Mercedes at the top of the grid battling against Max. So it could be a very long season once more for Red Bull and their ambitions towards trying to win a constructors title, because although Mercedes looks as though they've fallen away, and I'm sure they'll find a way throughout the season to get themselves back on track, it looks as though Ferrari's replaced them. So Red Bull, it's not going to be another season for them where they're going to be coasting or fighting without any sort of competition towards the constructors. I think it's going to be another difficult season for them, but I'm expecting it all to go off today like it did last season in the Bahrain Grand Prix. If you remember last season, of course, we had the incident between Lewis and Max where Max went off track to overtake Lewis and went on to give the position back, and Lewis went on to win that race. Bear in mind, though, a good omen from that race that we can take into this one today is that Lewis won that race from starting in P2. Max was the fastest man on that day in qualifying. Lewis was second fastest. But now Max finds himself second fastest. Charles is the fastest man on track in pole position, and Lewis is all the way down in fifth. So, it feels like it could be the same kind of season for Max, but different people filling in the different roles against him in this battle for what would be now back-to-back potentially drivers' championships, and Red Bull battling now instead of against Mercedes, potentially maybe against Ferrari for the constructors. But we'll wait and see. You don't get points from qualifying unless it's a sprint race, which we'll have plenty of those this season coming up. You only get points majority of the time through races, and that's where it all counts. So we'll wait and see how the teams perform today. But we've already got quite a few shocks after qualifying yesterday.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up because obviously you messaged me after qualifying took place yesterday. I mean, just singling out, I'll mention a couple of other pointers as well in terms of like disappointment, but obviously Aston Martin, Nico Hülkenberg out-qualified Lance Stroll. Aston Martin and Lance Stroll finishing in 19th place in qualifying. Nicholas Latifi getting out-qualified by Alex Albon. Albon's first time in the Williams, so again, disappointing for Nicholas Latifi, quite a way off, so I'm not sure if there was any mistakes in the laps that he made. Daniel Ricciardo and McLaren in general, not even Lando Norris could get into the top 10 and get into Q3. Disappointment for Daniel Ricciardo. We know he missed the final test in Bahrain because of COVID, and obviously missed Friday practice in the afternoon as well. So not a great start to the season so far for Daniel Ricciardo either. But in terms of positives as well, I mean, Connor, Haas and Alfa Romeo, I mean, yes, they're Ferrari-powered cars, and obviously it looks like Ferrari's power unit is looking good to start the season. But Valtteri Bottas is, at level with Lewis Hamilton on the grid today. He's further than George Russell on the grid today as well. So Bottas starts 6th, George Russell is in 9th. But we've got to mention Kevin Magnussen and Mick Schumacher in the Haas as well. Magnussen starting 7th, Mick Schumacher starting 12th, his highest position as well. I mean, Haas just looking really good.
Yeah, they are looking good. Kevin Magnussen looks like he hasn't taken a year off at all. He's looked brilliant. Mick Schumacher's stepping up into Q2. I said in the preview video that during the week I thought that Haas would make a couple of surprise appearances in Q2 and maybe even Q3. I'll be honest and say I wasn't expecting it to happen week one. That's for sure. And yeah, what a great start for Haas, and Alfa Romeo with Valtteri Bottas coming in sixth. Really showing Mercedes that they were almost maybe a bit too soon letting him go to Alfa Romeo and Zhou Guanyu, shall we say? That's how you pronounce his name correctly. Zhou Guanyu performing well in his first qualifying up to 15th, not quite managing to perform better than that, but for a driver just making his debut in Formula One, so a good start, and hopefully we'll see if he can push on towards maybe getting into the points near the end of the race. Ultimately, though, for both Haas and Alfa Romeo, and from what we've seen throughout testing so far, is reliability issues. Have they managed to solve these reliability issues so that they can reap the benefits of qualifying in Q3 in 6th and 7th and get some points on the board? That's the big thing for both of these teams this season, is have they managed to solve those reliability issues to get points on the board and move away from the bottom of the Constructors' Championship and more into that upper midfield battle where it looks as though they can be, should they be consistent. We look at the top 5, Ferrari, Red Bull and Lewis Hamilton, pretty much everyone that you would expect it to be in that kind of range from testing. And then you get Valtteri Bottas in a Alfa Romeo, which we thought would be underperforming, and Kevin Magnussen in the Haas, which we thought would be in the same situation. They've both stepped up, these drivers. Valtteri Bottas, of course, we already know he's got the quality, but Kevin Magnussen's just came back and looked brilliant. And it just comes down to that reliability now, if it can withstand the race and maintain these positions in the points to get some what would be vital points, which turns into vital prize money at the end of the season for both of these teams. So, yeah, as you said, it looks as though that Ferrari-powered unit is paying off for both Haas and Alfa Romeo so far. Can they be consistent enough to get points as a result of it?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely spot on, because that's what we saw, like you say, in testing. I mean, Valtteri Bottas was looking quick with that Alfa Romeo, but it looked almost over one lap pace because they were struggling with reliability, so we'll see what happens. They're starting from the back row on the starting grid, so I'll go through that. So Nicholas Latifi, Lance Stroll, we've got Daniel Ricciardo in 18th, Nico Hulkenberg is starting in 17th. It's a bit weird that they're going up to the front. Yuki Tsunoda is in 16th place. We've got Zhou Guanyu in 15th, Alex Albon, great performance in the Williams, he's 14th. Lando Norris is 13th, highest McLaren, 13th. Mick Schumacher in 12th, as I said, for Haas. Esteban Ocon is 11th for Alpine. We've got Pierre Gasly in 10th position, with George Russell first for Mercedes. Officially, he's in 9th place. Fernando Alonso is 8th, alongside Kevin Magnussen in 7th place. Can't stop saying that. Great performance. Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton, 6th and 5th. Old teammates at Mercedes, of course, like you say, but moved to Alfa Romeo has Bottas this year. Carlos Sainz and Sergio Perez. Sergio Perez is 4th, alongside Carlos Sainz in 3rd. Then we've got Max Verstappen 2nd and Charles Leclerc in 1st place. Now, quickly to mention as well, I mean, they did say about track limits, and they said they were going to be stringent with track limits, Connor, yesterday, but there were a couple of drivers that looked like they went over the actual white line yesterday, and going off to maybe the start-finish straight, didn't get their times deleted, which was a bit strange, but I think Yuki Tsunoda got his time deleted on another part of the track. So are we going to see, already it looks like they're being a bit lenient in terms of like the new FIA directors. I mean, are we going to see, I don't want to say we're not going to see mistakes already, are we? But it just seemed a bit weird yesterday. They said if you go off the white line and not the car is off the white line altogether, you're going to get your lap time removed from the qualifying stats. But then they let them, they let them continue. So it just seems a bit weird that they put a rule in and then they didn't seem to follow it. So I'm just hoping that that's not the case and an omen for what this season's going to be now.
Yeah, I hope they stay consistent with penalising drivers who do go outside of the white lines of the track limits. I think I'm not going to make any assumptions as to why some drivers weren't penalised for that start-finish straight, going over that the white lines as you go into the start-finish straight from that position. But I assume, I'm just assuming here, but I assume that the drivers lost a bit of time from going in that region because of the corner of the brake the red and white braking lines on that corner there. You can see it on that start finish straight there from what we're watching. Is quite punishing, I imagine, going over that part of the track for the drivers, and it would have lost them a bit of time anyway. Unless it was, likes of Leclerc and Max that went over that bit and still managed to get quick times, then I think they can be a bit lenient in that aspect there. But yeah, I'm not too sure where Tsunoda went off. That's
I think it was old turn 4 that we saw Verstappen and Hamilton have that thing last year.
Okay, yeah. So on that part of the track, if I remember correctly, there's not that many like brake pads or brake on that part of the track. Yeah, on the runoff, because that's where it goes off a little bit as well for the short circuit, isn't it? So it's it can be quite tarmacy there, and as a result of that, the drivers will still keep momentum. They won't lose a lot of speed because of the brake the breakage there. So yeah, I'm like you. It's just like, I hope this season, with the new changes that they've done, bringing in the race directors, 2 of them now, the VAR system that they've got in place, the lack of contact now that the team will have with the race directors to make sure it stays impartial as much as possible. I just hope that that results in good racing and clean racing and fair racing as well.
Yeah.
And they're on their formation lap now.
Yeah, I was just going to quickly mention, of course, from qualifying yesterday, that the top 10 don't have to start on a used compound that they had in Q2, so they can all have fresh tyres if they want to. But it looks like, I think from what I can hear, Max Verstappen and Carlos Sainz are starting on older sets of soft tyres to keep the fresh ones for later on in the race. So we are looking at a 2-stop strategy with these tyres for this race, so keep an eye on that. Of course, if you are joining us, I see Santiago's put in the chat, hello, so welcome everybody. Please put, keep us up to date in terms of the chat as well. Let us know who you think is going to win the race. There is a poll out at the moment, so we have got Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, Carlos Sainz, and anybody else. So if you're thinking is going to be anybody else in this race, please put it in the comment section below as well. So keep an eye out for that. But like Connor says, we're just coming to the grid now.
Yeah, or just put the driver name anyway in the comment. Even if he is part of the vote, just let us know who you're backing, who you're rooting for, who you think's going to win.
Absolutely.
And let us know. But yeah, this is exciting, Jack. Because the regulation changes from what we've seen from the cars, from what we've seen in testing, from what we've seen in qualifying yesterday. It looks like it's going to be very close racing. It looks like we've got some new contenders emerging forward, potentially the return of Scuderia Ferrari for both championships, which is exciting because we've not seen a Ferrari world champion driver since, of course, Kimi Raikkonen, and that was over 10 years ago now. Ferrari potentially get back into the frame towards winning for the constructors, maybe. Of course, this is still race 1, day 1, so we'll have to wait and see how it goes over the rest of the 20+ races that we're going to get. But very promising indications.
I also thought Max Verstappen would be pointing a little bit more towards Charles Leclerc and the normal side of the race circuit, but he looks to be a little bit more straighter than I thought. So keep an eye out for that. Carlos Sainz really warming his rear tyres up as well. They were proper burning as he was going up onto the grid. So the final car of the Williams of Nicholas Latifi is just coming to the grid now. So we'll get the lights. There's the green flag as well at the back. So I'll just start this off. Connor might be a little bit in front, but if he starts making some squealing noises, I know something's happened going into turn 1, but the lights are about to go out. Let's have a look. Let's see what happens. So we got Charles Leclerc. It looks like he's still in the lead of the race. Max Verstappen. Ooh, I'm not too sure there. Yeah, so Charles Leclerc is still taking the lead. He's gone onto the inside line. Max Verstappen goes around. Carlos Sainz is trying to go on the outside of Max Verstappen. No way there. That's still Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, and Carlos Sainz. Is that Lewis Hamilton taking a place as well? There's a Haas up there as well. Oh my goodness me. I'm not sure what is going on. I don't know what the running order is right now. So we got Verstappen, Carlos Sainz. Hamilton just takes out Kevin Magnussen, so just takes the corner ahead of the Haas. But it looks like Kevin Magnussen is up to 5th place.
And that's what I was laughing at as well. Just like seeing, Ferrari or Red Bull, Ferrari again. Oh, Mercedes is doing well. Lewis is pushing through. Of course he is. What? This is Magnussen. What's he doing? There's a Haas coming through. What's happened in the past years?
That is a cluster of cars at the back as well.
Yeah, wow. I just noticed as well, everyone's on soft tyres except for the McLaren drivers of Orlando and Ricciardo. They're both on medium, so a bit of a different strategy for them. But potentially you could see a bit of the same. We're expecting soft, medium, soft, or soft, hard, soft. But in terms of the McLaren drivers, it could be medium, soft, soft, or medium, soft, medium. It could be a variation of any of that. We're not expecting any one-stop drivers because that strategy would be a bit slow with the tyre warming up, the hard tyre. But we'll wait and see how it unfolds. But from the opening lap, Jack, it looks like Lewis Hamilton's forcing himself through, and Kevin Magnussen's gone off this tail and is absolutely playing brilliant drive. George Russell up to 7th as well.
Bottas gone down to 14th, Connor.
Yes, a bit of a slow start there for Bottas, but that's what we've kind of seen from Bottas over the past couple of years. It's not been Bottas at the starts haven't exactly been his strong point a lot of the time, and it looks like that's carried on into the season. But all the way down to 14th from where he was 6th, so yeah, it's not great.
Yeah. And in terms of looking at the others as well, Sergio Perez has dropped down a couple of places as well. Like you say, George Russell's up to 7th. Gasly's made 2 places to 8th. We've got Fernando Alonso 9th. Ocon 10th. Albon up to 11th place as well. That's good for Williams, trying to get some points early into the season. Yuki Tsunoda is 12th. He's made 4 places. Mick Schumacher's dropped down 1 to 13th. As we say, Bottas, the biggest loser really, 8 places to 14th. Nico Hulkenberg has made 2 to 15th. We've got Lance Stroll 16th. Norris 17th. He's dropped 4, but as Connor mentioned, I think they're medium compound tyres. They're going for a long race strategy at the moment in terms of McLaren. We've got Zhou Guanyu, he is in 18th. Latifi is 19th, with Daniel Ricciardo again as well on the medium compound. He's lost 2 places and he is now at the back of the grid. So 57 lap race. We're on to the second lap at the moment. Still Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen and Carlos Sainz. But as you say, Connor, Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton slowly making that progress. And in terms of Kevin Magnussen as well, he is now up to 5th place. I bet Gunter's swearing, but he's swearing with absolute joy right now.
Yeah, DRS is about to get activated soon as well in the next start of this lap. I think it is the 3rd lap usually. So it'll be interesting to see if Max can close up that gap to Charles Leclerc on that second DRS zone after the turn 1 and 2. As well as Lewis as well, if he can close up to the gap to the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz. Oh, Kevin Magnussen locking up in the first corner. Don't know if he's lost any positions. Think he just managed to keep Perez at bay, but DRS is going to help the Red Bull driver. Yeah, Magnussen's doing a lot of defending here, but it looks as though Perez might be able to squeeze through. No, Magnussen's dropped off and blocked the corner. Perez, though, looking to push through, battling between the Haas and the Red Bull driver as they go through the slalom of corners, but Perez has gone out ahead. So Perez has managed to regain a position there on the Haas of Kevin Magnussen, as Red Bull now looking to push on with Perez and get him back into a higher position in the points. But yeah, DRS now coming into play for some of the other drivers at the back. And what I was going to say as well is the McLaren guys on the medium tyres, of course, they are dropping off because it's not a quicker tyre as the soft tyre. But I'm thinking, could potentially maybe they go on for a one-stop strategy and switch on to the hards? Is that possible? Stretching out the medium compound all the way until the middle of the race, maybe, and try and catch some guys out with their pit stops. Yeah, I think that might be the only way that that the McLarens get into the points, because obviously if the car was quick enough, they would have been in the top 10 in the Q3 yesterday. Yeah. Obviously it's not. Lando admitted that in the interviews afterwards. So maybe they are thinking about potentially going a different strategy way with the one stop onto the hard tyre and try and catch people out with their pit stops and get into the points that way. That might be their best bet of getting points today, I think. Yeah, we've got to try something different when you're quite off the pace, as it were. And like you said, limited testing as well for Daniel Ricciardo. And obviously, you know, in testing, they do try different things as well to see how everything's working. So Lando Norris had a tough job for the 3 days of the test, you know, having to do it all himself. But Esteban Ocon, that was a replay there. Mick Schumacher did a lovely pirouette there to come straight back on and have no real issue there. That was a nice little one there. No real major issue. I think he only lost a couple of places, so not bad for Mick Schumacher to, after spinning, to only use that. But it looks like it's under investigation from the steward. I'm not really sure. That's the first lap, wasn't it? That was the first lap, wasn't it? So it seems a bit harsh if they're under obviously as well. Schumacher's going to have some flat spots on his tyres as well, so that may have caused him to potentially pit earlier in this race and push out the stint on the medium tyre a bit longer for him. So a different strategy maybe coming up on the horizon for Mick. You know, we'll have to see if the pits sooner than the other drivers as a result of that pirouette. But I think damage limitation there and a good save as well from the German to keep his car on track and pointing in the right direction as well with all that smoke going around him. Lewis now pushing on the back of Carlos Sainz, but I don't think he's close enough. And we're already seeing Charles Leclerc pushing out against Max Verstappen, 1.3 the gap there. So Max no longer in DRS zone against the race leader.
Yeah, I mean, like, definitely something to keep an eye on in terms of that Ferrari pace. But I would also say George Russell looks like he's trying to make a move on Kevin Magnussen. Magnussen's gone wide again. That was a bit strange. I didn't see any lock up there, but that's Kevin Magnussen going wide. So that was an easy overtake for George Russell. He's up now into 6th place. But I have to say that Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes are pretty close to that Ferrari of Carlos Sainz at the minute. Carlos 4 seconds off his teammate at the moment on lap 5 of 57. So something to keep an eye on in terms of Carlos Sainz defending from Lewis Hamilton there as well. Checo, as we said, Sergio Perez was probably getting the hurry up when he was trying to overtake Magnussen from his team, because obviously they want him in play alongside Max Verstappen. So it's currently Leclerc, Verstappen, Sainz, Hamilton, Perez and Russell, and then we've got Kevin Magnussen down to now 7th place. So great start, but a couple of lockups has affected his defending manoeuvres, so keep an eye on that. But Nico Hulkenberg has just made a move, is it, or for 14th? But I'm not sure if he took the lead again. But let's have a look. Kevin Magnussen, did he lock up again? Oh, there was no lockup. I think he did,
but I just don't think there was like any smoke. But I think he just struggled to get the car turned, or maybe the speed slowing down for the corner too much. But overall, I think it's clear that Mercedes are pushing in the race and pushing early, because Lewis is up to 4th and Russell's up to 6th. They're taking advantage of what was a slow start for some of the guys like Bottas and Magnussen, and just pushing on from that and just getting into higher up into the points. And George Russell closing the gap now up towards Perez, but I'm not sure he's going to get close to overtaking him for the next couple of laps. But it's interesting to see all these back marker cars, Jack, because they're all very close to each other and it's very competitive racing, which looks great, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I mean, it's slowly getting to about 30 seconds with Daniel Ricciardo in the McLaren, but normally by this point, like last year, for example, the Haas would probably already be about 40 seconds behind. So, we're already seeing a slight difference here. They look pretty good in terms of like being able to follow each other as well. We haven't had the DRS, like you say, has only just come into effect, so we're hoping we're not going to see a DRS strain again this year, but who knows. A 5-second penalty for Esteban Ocon there for causing a collision. If that was the first lap, that does seem pretty harsh, considering Schumacher only lost a couple of places and managed to pirouette straight away. So seems a bit harsh for the new race directors, of course, as well, who are in there with the stewards. So a little bit disappointing there for Ocon, considering both Alpines are in the points at the moment.
Yeah, just showing Joe challenging Schumacher, and Hulkenberg's in that mix as well. I think because of the fact that it looks as though, given the pirouette, that Schumacher's strategy now has been compromised because of that. I think maybe it's fair to give Ocon the penalty, but at the moment that would move him down into 12th, I think, if my maths is correct. So out of the points at the moment, that would be for Ocon, because obviously in 10th at the moment as well. So yeah, maybe a bit of a strategy change for him as well to go a bit longer and to try and do the undercut to make sure that the 5-second penalty is served in the pits and away from any sort of potential loss in points later on in the race. But we'll wait and see.
Yeah. I was just going to mention, what we're saying about sort of like Nicholas Latifi, because obviously this is a big season for him. Obviously he was overshadowed by George Russell, but I think because of how well George was performing in that Williams last year, it sort of deflected how maybe disappointing some of his performances were. Alex Albon coming in for the first race of his career at Williams, is up to 12th place on soft compound tyres. Like I said, I'm not sure if, say, Albon's on a new set and Latifi's on an old set, but they're 10 seconds almost apart. Albon 12th, Latifi, I was going to say, is last, but he's just overtook Ricciardo again. But this is a really tough season now for Latifi, isn't it? You've really got to improve here, or as much as maybe he's bringing in some financial investment into the team, there are other drivers out there that can also do that as well.
Yeah, if you're 7 laps into a soft tire compound and you're still sitting behind a driver with medium compound tires, that's not a very good look at all, because you are supposedly on the faster tire, and you can't really say it's the performance of the car when your teammates up in 12th. So it's a difficult one to fight for Latifi, but we'll wait and see how the race develops for him. He had good performances last season. The taking advantage of the situation that happened in Hungary on the first corner and getting some points there for Williams. So he's had some good races for the team. But I think for a lot of drivers, this season is crunch time for them. We haven't really seen, a lot of driver changes, or at least a lot of unforced driver changes, shall we say, on the grid in terms of comings and goings. So this might be like a crunch season for Latifi at Williams going forward. Otherwise, they'll start to look at F2 and see what kind of drivers they can bring in to push that team forward, because that's a team that wants to get back into the top of the points and get back into that range of Formula One. So we'll wait and see. And I think that's Albon losing position there to Bottas, or Bottas trying to push himself through but not able to get the job just done yet.
Yeah, Mercedes power unit right behind him Ferrari as well, Connor.
Yeah, Bottas there, right side by side next to Albon, and I think he might have just got the job done. That's a great show, great view from Zhou's cockpit there.
Yeah,
great driving. But yeah, no real changes in the top 3 since the start. And Tsunoda performed well, of course, last season in Bahrain, getting into the points, and he's up 5 places since the start, so that's good for him.
Yeah, I was just going to mention, to be honest, Connor, as well, because obviously there is a gap now forming between Leclerc and Verstappen in terms of their battle, and then Sainz and Hamilton going forward as well. So this is Leclerc and Verstappen sort of pulling away a little bit from the rest of the field slightly.
Yeah, the 2 seconds between Carlos and Max, that's got to be managed now by the pit stop crew in terms of strategy. And we know that it played well for Red Bull last season when they came to their strategy. They were able to take advantage of Max's battle with Lewis a lot of the time. Now it looks as though they're going to have to do the same with Charles Leclerc and Ferrari, and Carlos Sainz keeping Hamilton at bay. What result it would be for Mercedes if we're able to get Hamilton onto the podium after what's happened in qualifying and testing for the team, if they're able to show that, yes, our car may be slower, but if you think you can still beat us over 50 plus laps, then you're going to have to show it on the track. And Lewis showing that quality of him being a 7-time world champion so far in this race, up into 4th from the 5th. And George Russell making the most of the car and being in a better car this season, up from 9th into 6th. So, great performances by the Mercedes so far. It's showing a replay here of Mick Schumacher getting the better of Nico Hülkenberg as Hülkenberg locked up into the first corner. And Hülkenberg as well losing out to his teammate Lance Stroll as a result of that. I thought it was a good performance by Hülkenberg yesterday in qualifying, given that he was only just called up in the week. And, of course, we send our best out to Sebastian Vettel, who is out of the race at the moment due to COVID. And I don't know if he's going to be able to return in time for the Saudi Grand Prix.
Connor,
I'm sure he will be
here?
able to.
Little battle between Perez and Hamilton. Perez overtakes Lewis Hamilton there.
Ooh, that'll be a good result for Red Bull if we're able to get both of their drivers ahead of Mercedes.
Yeah, and of course we saw that real defending battle that Perez did in Abu Dhabi at the end of last season as well, and that was against Lewis Hamilton as well. So let's see if this continues. Obviously Lewis should still have DRS as they go into the middle part of the racetrack, so let's just keep an eye out to see if Hamilton can stay with the Red Bull. But you would think, in terms of the performance that Verstappen's getting out of that car, Perez probably should get away from Mercedes here. But it's currently at the minute we've got Ferrari, Red Bull, and then the two Mercedes who now are 5th and 6th. So, like you say, not the worst. Damage limitation, as Toto Wolff really said this weekend, and maybe going into Saudi Arabia. It could be with when they go overseas back to Australia, which we haven't been as well for a few years, back to Melbourne. It might be that Mercedes brings some upgrades there, but Zhou Guanyu, does he overtake Alex Albon here to 13th place? Looks like he does. So that's both Alfa Romeos ahead of Albon now.
Yeah, the distance between Max and Carlos is quite big now. I think it's up to 4 seconds. So, Carlos might have a job on his hands here throughout the rest of the race to keep Perez and Hamilton at bay. But for Carlos's benefit, the longer that Hamilton and Perez keep battling the better it is for him, because it means he'll be able to keep his tyres fresher for longer and not push as hard to keep those drivers at bay. So we'll have to, like in anything in Formula One, we just have to wait and see how it develops throughout the rest of the race.
And this is like a learning curve, not just for us watching, but for all the teams as well. And as they're saying, very much almost a test session for McLaren, because yes, they're on the medium compound tyres, but they are in 18th and 18th for Norris and 20th place for Daniel Ricciardo at the minute. Like we say, they might be able to go a little bit longer in terms of like the first pit stops. And it might be the case, could they go long, as you say, for medium to hard compound tyres. But yeah, this is definitely a long, very long 57 lap testing session for McLaren, who obviously were hoping for better at the start of this year, but a few testing niggles, and obviously, like we say, Daniel Ricciardo wasn't in the car really in the afternoon of Friday practice as well. So yeah, still got a lot to really look at. As Max Verstappen comes on the radio saying he has zero traction at the minute. But of course, we know with these radio messages, Connor, that sometimes they are out for the other teams to listen to maybe alter their strategy as well. But it looks like a pit stop for Mercedes. Who is this coming into the pits?
It's Lewis. Lewis is coming in. Bright yellow helmet. That's easy to distinguish this year.
Hard tyres,
Lewis
Connor.
Going on to. Did you say it was hard tyres going on? Yes, hard tyres like it is. So I've got the strategy up from the Formula One website as to what they expect in terms of strategies. And when they say on one of the strategies, they have a pit window on the soft tyre between 11 and 21 laps in, going on to the hard tyre, and then switching from the hard tyre onto the medium tyre from 33 to 43 laps into the race. So it'd be interesting to see if Lewis decides to do that strategy or if he's deciding to do.
Oh, he went deep though. Oh, he's trying to get. Look at that, putting his foot down. He's just slipping in terms of the rears are going away there, and Zhou Guanyu has just took that place back again. That'll be interesting to see the replay, but he's trying to warm up them hard compound tyres, obviously completely different to the soft compound. This is the hardest compound as well in terms of the C1, C5s. This is the hardest compound tyre that they can bring to any racetrack. So this is really showing that Lewis struggling, even though the tyres were hot in the blankets from the pit stop. Really difficult to get some traction down there, Connor, and that is obviously he was already out behind Valtteri Bottas, as we see a replay now, but just couldn't get the power down.
No, he went wide on that first corner as well because of the release, and then as he put the throttle down to push towards turn 2, the traction on the back end just wasn't present. He was a bit on the brake pads there as well. Guanyu Zhou took advantage of it and slid straight past him with those soft tyres. But now it comes into the strategy of Lewis he's going to go long into the race. We know how good Lewis is when it comes to managing tyres as well. Obviously, it looks as though Mercedes are playing the long game, at least with Lewis. It'll be interesting to see what they do with George. But one of the other strategies is basically from soft to hards and then to softs again. Could we expect maybe a late surge from Lewis on the soft tyre as a result? But now it looks as though he's trying to take back the position from Guanyu Zhou, who of course is on the older soft tyres, Lewis on the newer hard tyres. But as we saw in that first couple of corners, he was struggling to get some grip, but now he looks as though he's got the job done clean there, and he's back through. But Guanyu Zhou does have DRS as they go through the second straight. Lewis sweeping and swerving to keep the Chinese driver at bay, and he does exactly that as he stays in position, but goes a bit wide there, but not too much wide to go off the racing, outside the racing lines, and he keeps position there on Guan Yu Zhou. But yeah, a couple of other drivers have pitted now. Alonso's pitted onto the mediums. Schumacher's pitted onto the mediums as well. So they're going for a different strategy, which maybe be the soft, medium, soft strategy, which involves pitting between laps 14 and 24 to the medium tyre, and then between 35 and 45 for the soft once more. Yeah, so interesting strategy there from Alonso and Schumacher. And now we get to see Ricciardo and Norris take advantage of that, but Alonso's already taken over Ricciardo, so that's not it's not working out well for Ricciardo. And we may be able to give Ricciardo the benefit of the doubt this week. Of course, he's suffered from COVID last week, so he's not had a lot of practice time. He's had less practice time, shall we say, than other drivers on the Bahrain circuit. But overall, given how Norris has performed in the McLaren so far, it could be a very difficult season for McLaren in 2022. So.
Yeah, I'm just trying to update the leaderboard. I think has it kicked in again now? The leaderboard that we've got on the screens a couple of laps down. So I was trying to see, like, has it updated for Lewis Hamilton? I think it has, but it's still a couple of laps down. So we'll try and keep you updated on it. Obviously, you know that we are outsourcing that, as you saw when I was trying to refresh it. The BBC normally do quite a good job in terms of refreshing and updating that regularly, but it looks like it is a couple of laps down slightly at the minute. So once the few pit stops are coming through, we'll try and give you a more updated leaderboard. So yeah, hopefully it's going to do that, as we see Mick Schumacher just trying to get ahead of Alex Albon, who has now pitted on the medium compound. Fernando Alonso actually pitted as well. He's just now overtook Nico Hulkenberg. He's back up to 14th place. So yeah, like I said, as pit stops are going to be changed, if the leaderboard
here comes
update,
Max is pitted. Max is pitting. Here he goes. Max is pitted, so this opens the window now for Sainz to push and get... yellow flag in sector 1. Not sure who it is for yet, but it's just flagged up. So someone's gone off track in sector 1, which will affect all its green, so it's cleared. They're back up onto the track already. Carlos Sainz is in the pits as well. So Perez will push now potentially onto second place in the race, and he does so. George is in third. And so does Magnussen, Gasly, and Ocon. They all pit. Ocon, of course, has got that penalty, so he may have to stand still in the pit lane for 5 seconds, which I think he is, because he's not coming out with either Gasly or Magnussen. Bottas is pitting as well. I think it's not noticing anything in particular. So Carlos is on a second set of soft tyres, so that's an interesting strategy. They're going soft, medium potentially here for Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, he did have a brand new set because he started on an older set of soft compound tyres. So yeah, maybe they are mixing it up slightly. But Conor, in terms of like the actual strategies, it looks like everybody else has gone on to medium. So Lewis Hamilton, the only one on the hard compound tyre right now. Yeah,
and it looks as though Verstappen's on another set of soft tyres as well, so they're looking to keep pushing and then maybe go switch to medium later on in the race. I'm intrigued to see what Carlos Sainz does as the race leader. Obviously now he's got a 13-second gap. Do they look to keep him out for a little bit longer to take advantage of that gap, or do they bring him in? And they are bringing him in as a response to Max Verstappen, I do believe. So
Leclerc,
here he goes. Soft tyres as well for Leclerc. So it looks as though the top three are all on the same strategy here.
Perez is coming in.
Perez is in. George Russell's in. We'll see what tyres goes on for Perez. Medium tyres for Perez. So a bit of a different strategy there for Perez. Verstappen's overtaken him, and Carlos has gone out ahead of Verstappen, but Verstappen's right there in the first corner. Can he
this could be
find
close.
the way through? No. DRS potentially here maybe for Verstappen. Yes, he's got it.
We'll have better traction here.
As they go through the corners, Carlos stays ahead. Charles stays ahead there. Stays on track just about.
Verstappen is a lot closer than he was when before the pit stops took place.
Yeah.
So whether I'm not sure what the time was that Red Bull did for Max Verstappen, but he's very close now. He must have had that couple of laps or that one lap more to really get them tyres into the right window now. But obviously we've got DRS going into this second part of the track as well. So let's keep an eye on to see if Max Verstappen can overtake him. Of course, we've got the start-finish straight as well. So this is not over, Connor. Of course, Max does have that DRS. Russell also on the hard compound tyre. So both Mercedes are on the hard compound tyre. The only drivers to be doing that at the minute. Let's see how that strategy plays out as well.
Magnussen on softs too. I'm not sure if Stroll and Hulkenberg have pitted yet. But yeah, and then as you say, everyone else on the mediums except for Latifi, who's on softs still as well. As they go now around the start-finish straight corner, so another opportunity here for Max Verstappen to attack Charles Leclerc with the DRS. Fastest lap goes to Max Verstappen as well. He's getting the strength. Oh, sparks flying there as he goes across to get ahead of the Ferrari driver. And it looks as though he's got the job done. And he may as well... no, Charles Leclerc is right next to him. And it looks as though he's going to get the position back straight away.
This is what we want.
And he does. This is the kind of racing that we want.
Ooh, he sort of cut him up a little bit there, did Charles Leclerc. This is what we want. Obviously, we know Max Verstappen is an aggressive driver. We want Charles Leclerc. They asked him before the race, and he said, I'm just as aggressive as Max Verstappen. So we really want to see that as the season progresses. But I was about to say, as Verstappen took the lead into Turn 1, that as much as that's great for Max and Red Bull, Leclerc and Ferrari would have the same thing that Verstappen had previous the lap before, which would have been DRS. But we go again with the same order of Leclerc and Verstappen. We're just seeing a replay of seeing Leclerc trying to just swerve a little bit to try and break the toe, but yeah, Max gets the inside line, great late on the brakes maneuver as well. But yeah, like I say, Leclerc, again DRS going into turn 3, just is able to get that position back. But we're seeing the replay. Are we going to get to see the live feed of where they are? They must be pretty close on track now to the start finish straight. So as much as this is great to see the replays, I would love to see what's actually going on right now live. So can we cut back?
Yeah, they're back onto the start-finish straight once more. Max in second, Charles in first. Max is going to get another chance here with the DRS, but the gap looks a bit wider than what it was the lap ago. So don't know if he's going to get an opportunity to properly attack him. He does go down the first corner, braking late.
Ooh.
Gets the job done. Great driving there by Max Verstappen to lunge into that first corner, but it's going to leave the door open for Charles Leclerc on the second straight as he did in the previous lap. And it's the same story, I think, there, as Charles almost gets the job done. He does get the job done in the end there. Oh, and then we've lost coverage briefly there, and it came back again.
the race director's so excited. The cameraman can't control himself. This is like watching go-karts, to be fair. Like, they're literally just overtaking each other and then retaking the place back. This is fantastic. Yeah.
And as a result of that, Perez has got the fastest lap on the medium tyres, if you've noticed that as well. So... and with this battling, of course, it's going to open the door for drivers later on, because these guys are wearing their tyres out, braking late into corners, and battling it out across the track. It's going to open the doors for the likes of Perez and Sainz and Hamilton to push through, and George Russell as well with their hard tyres later on in the race. We're 18 laps into the new season, Jack, and I think it's been more entertaining than the entire 2021 season was. Even though we did have that drama in Abu Dhabi, of course, I just think this is a brilliant race, and the regulations are paying off a treat here for all those fans.
If this is how the season is going to go, and obviously Mercedes have upgrades as well, then this is going to be a promising season. But yeah, it looks like the same again. Are we going to have Max Verstappen get DRS? Is he in that window? I think he should be. He's about 9/10 off, so we'll see him slowly closing the gap. I don't know if he's going to make that late braking maneuver that he did last time.
Yeah, he did. He locked up. Big lock up with the front right, and Charles Leclerc's already got the position back straight away, so that may be costly for Max Verstappen in the race.
Yeah.
He gets the DRS to try and attack him back, but of course, we all know with the lockup what it causes on the tyres. It causes a flat spot to occur on the tyre, and that will now impact Max's strategy and potentially open the door for Charles Leclerc to get ahead in this race much further than what he has been in the past couple of laps. we'll wait and see really how it. We'll get a first indication as to how costly that lockup will be for Max when we get to the start-finish straight, if he is in DRS zone. But already it looks as though Charles is opening up the gap a little bit. We've got the other DRS zone here. It's not as powerful as what it is on the first start-finish straight, and that's the reason why we've not seen it that much. But the lockup there, Jack, we know how costly lockups can be. We saw it what happened in, of course, in Azerbaijan last season with Lewis Hamilton locking up on the restart of that race there. Lockups can cause you to drop out the points completely, but it looks as though the lockup there, Jack, it might be costly for Max Verstappen when it comes to winning this race.
A little bit, but what we normally see is Max isn't very patient, is he? If he sees the door, he's going to go there, but if he keeps doing it lap after lap, he is going to see lockups every now and then. If he just bides his time...
DRS for Max. No DRS for Max on the start-finish straight as a result. So it's already been costly there, that lockup. He's lost 0.2 seconds, I believe, as a result of that lockup, and that now may open the door for Charles, who did pit later than Max. It may open the door now for Charles to push on and open up that gap a little bit more. And maybe Charles, as his teammate, Carlos Sainz, is able to get involved, but he still is quite a way behind Max there in second. So I think Max now may have to wait for the next opportunity. Maybe when they pit again, that might be the next opportunity for Max to try and get himself into the lead in this race. And we're just seeing a replay here of Guan Yu Zhou, or Zhou Guan Yu, overtaking Lando Norris. Fernando Alonso locking up as well with his medium tyres. We saw quite a few drivers lock up, of course, during testing last week and in practice as well. Alonso going off track there.
Taking a bit of a shortcut is Fernando there.
Yeah. Of course, he took that shortcut in Russia because he saw that the runoff was quicker than going around the corner. But I don't think it's quicker going off the track there. But what am I to say to a two-time world champion? You know, I'm not going to say anything. So.
But I mean, it's something to look at now, Connor. As you say, I mean, I don't know if that lockup is in effect, but it's gone to 1.8 seconds now. The gap between Leclerc and Verstappen. Leclerc team radio. Let's just see what he says.
Yeah, the lockup definitely will. As you listen to that team radio, the lockup definitely will affect Max because of the flat stop of the flat. If I can get my words out of my mouth, of the flat spot occurring on the tire there, it's going to cause him to potentially maybe pit earlier later on in this race. But from what we've seen from the pit stops already, you know, those early pit stops can pay off for Max because he's able to push hard on the outlap and regain the gap that was lost. And I think that gap from the first pit stop was about 3 seconds, 4 seconds maybe. At the moment, it's only 1.7, 1.8. I don't think we're into the range of potentially pitting the guys again that have been on the soft tires. It just depends on the wear of the tire and if it was used in the qualifying. But that might be another 5 or so laps. So we'll see. We'll see how things go for Max. But you know, it's a bit of a back step. It's a bit of a unfortunate incident there for Max to lock up, but it's not the end of his chances of winning this race. Yeah, I don't think.
Well, just keep an eye on Bottas and Yuki Tsunoda here. Bottas does look like he's got DRS. I'm not sure he's going to make the move just yet. So after everybody's now made their pit stop, Norris is the only one that hasn't pitted yet, but we're on lap 21. And as I said, once everyone had majorly made their pit stops, I would go back through the order because, of course, it is a little bit behind in terms of the leaderboard we have on screen. So Leclerc is still leading the race from Verstappen, now 2.3 seconds. And like we said, we had about 4 laps there of great overtaking manoeuvres from the pair of them. So let's hope we get that a little bit later on in the race now. We've got Carlos Sainz in 3rd place. He is almost 10 seconds off his teammate, so I'm not sure what's going on there with the other Ferrari, but just I think it's showing how great Leclerc and Verstappen are doing. Sergio Perez is in 4th on the medium compound tyre. He has the fastest lap, as Connor mentioned a little bit earlier. Hamilton and Russell 5th and 6th, the only drivers on the hard compound tyre as well. Kevin Magnussen is still in 7th place, so good job for him so far. Gasly is 8th. Alonso is 9th. 9th. Ocon is 10th, and he should have done his 5 seconds. I'm not sure if Connor noticed it on the times for his pit count.
I'll have a quick check.
Yeah,
I'll have a look.
he should have done it. I would have expected. Yuki Tsunoda is 11th. Bottas is 12th. Zhou is 13th. Mick Schumacher is 14th. We've got Lando Norris, like I said, 15th, but he hasn't pitted yet. Albon 16th. Stroll 17th. Latifi is 18th. Ricciardo 19th on the soft now. Nico Hulkenberg is at the back of the grid as well, but he has pitted, as I mentioned.
Yeah, I can't find if...
He should have done, really, because 5 seconds, you just get it out of the way, isn't it?
I'll have a quick check on Twitter now.
Looks like Alex Albon's just taken the position on Lando Norris as well. But as I mentioned, Norris hasn't pitted yet. He is on the medium compound tyres. She should be able to go a little bit longer, but didn't last that long for Daniel Ricciardo because he is already pitted on for a soft compound of tyre. So really not a great day for McLaren. If you are a McLaren fan like I am, it's very disappointing to see him right down there and getting overtaken by Haas. Just shows how well Haas have performed over the winter. And as Gunther Steiner said last year, it was going to be a very difficult year for 2021, last year in terms of not making really any upgrades, and that, just watch us in 2022. And at the moment, I know it's the first race with only 23 laps in, but really showing the performance of that Haas. Great results still from Kevin Magnussen to be in 7th place at the moment, and Mick Schumacher in 14th, but competitive, not riding around a lap down. Nobody is a lap down at the moment, so I suppose that is a positive. Hulkenberg is about a minute and a half off Leclerc though, so we could start to slowly see maybe lap cars, but as we get first race of the season, it might be expected to see that. But lap 23, Leclerc is still leading the race, about 3 seconds almost between Verstappen at the moment.
Yeah, Ocon served his penalty in the pit stop,
Right.
so where he is on track is where he is going to be as well.
Good.
If the checker flag was to fall. So yeah, Ocon in the points, and Alonso as well. So that's a good performance from Alpine so far.
Yeah, who are sporting that pink livery for the first couple of races. Obviously from Australia onwards, we'll go back to the more blue look of Alpine as usual, and we haven't said Racing Point to them so far, so I suppose that is a positive, as we see Alex Albon making the manoeuvre on Lando Norris, but as we keep saying, that is to be expected considering he is still on that first tyres. Lewis Hamilton locks up again on that hard compounded tyre. He's just really not happy with hardly any grip on that hard compound tyre, Connor. But maybe Mercedes, as you say, are looking to go a little bit longer here with that hard compound tyre, because obviously everybody else on the mediums and the softs will want to stop a little bit quicker, so that could see them get up maybe into the top 3 at least.
Yeah, we'll have to wait until the guys on the softs pit to see what kind of door opens up. Obviously, Perez will go into the race lead at that point, I imagine. But we'll wait and see what occurs for Hamilton and Russell when the guys on the soft tyres in the top 3 go in for their second stop. We're on lap 24 at the moment. So I imagine if they're able to withstand it, and Carlos hasn't been pushing, but the likes of Leclerc and Verstappen have, so maybe they will pit earlier than Carlos as a result.
Well, I don't want to interrupt you there, Connor, but Carlos has been on the radio now and just said, can you consider free stops? So he's really thinking, let's make that extra change. I mean, that is a real surprise, but it does look like he's struggling a little bit on this set of soft tyres. But
yeah, he's going to have to go onto the medium compound at some point, and when he does that, we're going to be pushing towards maybe lap 30, and I think a lot of drivers are more than capable of taking a medium tyre for 27 laps. So maybe it is the new regulations are causing a lot of tyre degradation, and as a result of that, some drivers are considering a free stop. With I imagine it would be 3 sets of soft tyres, but then you have to look into the allocation of the tyres that each driver has coming into the race, and question if that's possible. Surely they're going to have some that are new, but not all drivers will have soft tyres that are fresh. So just looking at the tyre allocation actually for the race itself, and all of the top 3, Verstappen, Leclerc and Carlos Sainz, have a new set of soft tyres, and then 3 sets of used soft tyres. one set of mediums and one set of hard tires. So maybe the door is open for that kind of strategy, but I don't know. This is new regulation season. We've seen quite a lot already in the opening 25 laps that we've not seen in quite a while in Formula One. So maybe a free stop is on the horizon for a lot of teams. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and it's not just the ground effect in terms of aerodynamics. Of course, like the tyres are much bigger this year, as they say, and it's been quite difficult, obviously, to get them turning. A lot of teams and drivers have been complaining about understeer. You know, they're not using the apex this year as well because of the new aerodynamics. You know, obviously they lose grip if they go off the track. They need to keep the car hunkered down to the tarmac to obviously make sure, because all the aero now goes underneath. It is like driving at 60 mile an hour inside a tunnel allows you to stick on the top, is what they always used to say. So this is basically it. They're sucked to the floor now, and as we see an overtaking manoeuvre there, but is that Valtteri Bottas? They've moved. No, Bottas is still behind Yuki Tsunoda. He's really not happy. Obviously, that issue he had at the beginning of the race is, as you know, seeing him stuck behind cars. He might get a point at the end of this race, but yeah, a little bit difficult for Bottas at the moment in 12th position, stuck behind Yuki Tsunoda. But yeah, I mean, like I said, the tyres are different this year, a lot heavier as well. So you know, this could definitely be playing an effect in terms of more lockups equal more strategy in terms of having that extra pit stop. So yeah, I mean, like I said, the aerodynamics has changed in terms of this year for the new regulation, and of course that might help in terms of like overtaking. But yeah, the tyres are also having an effect as well in terms of the actual pit stop strategies. And yeah, Jamie has put in the chat, not a good day for McLaren in terms of what I said. As a Perez fan, I welcome this. Leave the chat, Jamie. That's all I'm going to say to that. Perez also has the fastest lap as well, but it looks like is that an Alpine of Alonso? Is he pitting again? Yes, he is.
Yeah, Lando Norris as well pitted just a lap ago onto the hard tyres.
Okay.
We've got just over 30 laps to go in this race. I'm not sure if the hard tyre can be stretched out that far, but interestingly enough, Alonso has pitted onto the hard tyre too. So maybe he's thinking the same kind of strategy as Lando Norris. And in which case we have to ask, will the likes of Sainz and the rest of the guys that are on the soft tyres for the second time look to do free stop to counteract that? I'm not too certain. Valtteri Bottas is still behind Yuki Tsunoda, but pushing on, trying to get into the points there. The Finnish driver, 2 seconds now separating Carlos Sainz and Perez, 3.6 seconds separating Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc. Those are the battles for the podiums really at the moment between those two, second and first, and Sainz and Perez for third. Hamilton 14 seconds behind Perez, and I think we'll just have to wait until the pit stops really to see Hamilton back and battling against Perez when that occurs, and as well as Sainz for third place on the grid. Alex Albon pushing through against Alonso, but still quite a bit behind there. Magnussen still holding on strong for Haas in 7th on the medium tyre, but that's going to start to fall away a little bit, which could open the door for Gasly and Ocon just behind him. But yeah, good racing so far. Good racing. McLaren just got to be hoping, got to be keeping their fingers crossed that that the strategy of going onto the hard tyres in the race will pay off for them and get them closer to the points. But I'm not too certain, unfortunately. Showing a replay there of Alonso pushing through against Albon.
Yeah, brand new tyres.
Yeah.
I will. I'm just going to mention. I will change the poll that's on as well. So obviously get your votes in of who you think will win this first race. I'll probably do it about lap 35 as Verstappen team radio. Let's have a look. He's complaining about.
Just so everyone knows, when me and Jack started the stream and I had a look at the poll, Charles Leclerc only had 24% of the vote. So everyone's now backing him now that they're seeing he's doing well. I backed him before the season even started. Go watch our preview show earlier in the week.
I can contest I can agree that Conor did do that as Hamilton comes into the pits once again. 3.9 seconds is on the medium compound tyre as he comes back out. But yeah, Conor did say that Charles Leclerc, he did have his Ferrari hat with the number 16 on, so I can say that was what Conor was going
it's
for.
It's up there, I can't grab it.
Let's have a look. Hamilton team radio.
Hamilton's pitted again onto the medium tyre. So he's dropped from 5th to 8th as a result of that pit stop. So that's a decent pit stop for him.
Yeah, asking him to go all the way to the end, Conor, from that team radio.
That's possible, but it'll be a long stretch on that medium tyre, I think, given how some of the drivers have complained about the tyre degradation. It took a long time to get that front left off for Hamilton. So a bit of a longer pit stop than what Mercedes would have liked. But McLaren is pushing through the field. It's pushing onto the back.
Oh my God! There's an overtake possible.
Latifi. It's on the back of Latifi. Daniel Ricciardo pushing through. Can't get past him though. Oh no! This could be a long.
I was going to be really sarky then and say, well, even I could overtake Latifi, but he didn't overtake Latifi. So
this could be a long season for Ricciardo and McLaren. I'm not sure if Latifi was moving in the braking zone there.
But, I mean, obviously we've seen McLaren make some changes throughout the year, so it could just be that they're an upgrade away. That obviously that affecting in terms of, testing didn't really help in terms of reliability. Daniel Ricciardo goes down the inside, does make that maneuver.
Gets the job done. Gets it done.
He obviously heard us taking the mick out of him, and he thought, I've had enough of this, and decided to overtake Nicholas Latifi. But, Daniel Ricciardo up to 17th place. But we are now, Conor, we are seeing two drivers a lap behind. So it's took 29 laps, but we have got 2 laps of Hülkenberg and Norris at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, Norris is on the hard tyre, and he has pitted. He pitted later, but with him being on the hard tyre and Leclerc and Verstappen still on the soft, he'll get that lap back, I imagine, when they go in for the second pit stop. I'm more worried if later on in the race, if we're still seeing drivers lapped and it being half the field, that's when I would be worried. That is going to be more the same but more competitive at the top and just more competitive in midfield, but still a separation between the top teams and the midfield teams. But we'll wait and see.
They just mentioned the point as well, Conor. I mean, if you look from Alonso down, all of them cars,
a bit of contact there between Stroll and I think that was Albon.
Yeah, I was just going to point out there, in terms of Stroll, Albon, Latifi, Ricciardo, Hülkenberg and Norris, all them cars have a Mercedes power unit in it. And they're all from 15th onwards, all of them have the Mercedes power. Are we seeing a difference? Obviously, we've got Red Bull, who've changed their name to Red Bull Powertrains this year, but it is basically still a Honda. And then we've got the Ferrari as well.
Yeah, and the lowest Ferrari-powered engine car is Mick Schumacher in 13th. Mm-hmm. So it's maybe a bit of change there. Maybe Mercedes have been unable to, I think that's Stroll getting lapped there from. Is that Stroll or is it? Yeah, it is Stroll.
Might be Hülkenberg because he was.
Yeah, Hülkenberg. Yeah, Hülkenberg.
I don't know if he was lapped.
I was trying to figure out. As the lapped cars were getting lapped going down the start this other straight, as that's Carlos Sainz there behind one of the McLarens. In comes for a pit stop. I think that's Yuki Tsunoda. It is.
Yep.
He's onto the soft tires, and he's coming out ahead of Nicholas Latifi. Albon actually. Ocon getting the job done there against Mick Schumacher on the hard tyre.
Yeah, so the hard compound tyre, as the track's evolving slightly, and obviously the heat on the surface and the cars going around, it looks like the hard compound tyre is sticking a little bit, whereas we saw issues as Max Verstappen comes into the pits on a medium compound of tyre, 3-second pit stop. But we're starting to see maybe the hard's actually coming into the fold a bit now, Conor. And obviously it was very much soft to start with, to everybody to get going, but looks like obviously the hards are sort of helping for, well, it could just be certain teams, to be fair, or it could be just in general, but it looks like the hards are coming into play a little bit.
Yeah. a lot of the drivers that are on the hards may look to take until the end of the race. George Russell won't be one of them, though, because he pitted earlier on the hards. He'll be looking for a second pit stop. Box for Charles Leclerc. So we're going to get our moment once again. Let's see how hard Max pushes in this outlap and if he can catch up to Charles Leclerc as he comes in for his pit stop. It's not showing Charles coming in for his pit stop yet, but Max is already through Sector 1 and onto Sector 2. So he's already halfway around almost.
Ocon's in the
Bahrain circuit.
Well. Hamilton's just overtook Pierre Gasly, so he's now up to 7th place as well. But yeah, it will be interesting once Charles Leclerc does come in. Will he go on the same tyres as Max Verstappen as well? Will he go on to the medium compound of tyres, or will he go on to the hard compound? I expect they'll just cover whatever Red Bull are doing at the minute, but we will see that now as Charles Leclerc comes into the pits.
Charles is coming in, but Max was flying round on that lap, so I think Max might be able to take him.
Well, they were close last time around, weren't they?
They were very close. So Carlos Sainz will go into the lead as a result of the pit stop. Perez will likely overtake Leclerc as well. And so, yeah, the next man up will be Max Verstappen as Charles comes to the end of the pit straight. And Max is coming down the pits, the start-finish straight as well.
Leclerc should get out.
And Charles has got it done. Charles is ahead of Max Verstappen. It'd be interesting to see if the gap's close enough for Max to get DRS on the second straight here. We'll wait and see. No, it's not close enough. It's not close enough. Ooh, what a good strategy there by Ferrari. And it looks as though that lockup from Max, I think it must have been about 10 laps ago now, that lockup into the first corner has been costly for Max and his ambitions of winning this race.
He does look closer than what he was before, obviously, all the pit stops took place, so it's about 1.3 seconds, but yeah, not close enough.
I can't hear what he's saying on the radio.
Yeah, he's moaning at the team and the engineers because I think he's been asked both times to not be as fast on the initial outlap, which obviously, as we say,
he has to be in order to try and close it up.
Yeah, the team have asked him not to be as aggressive, but I think it's just because obviously they don't want the same issue of having that lockup and affecting him in the next stint. So I don't know if they're just trying, but he sounded very angry on the radio to say, next time I'm just going to ignore you and I'm going to go flat out, but... As we see Lewis Hamilton.
Lewis getting the job done there.
Gasly, yeah, that was an old replay.
Yeah, and I guess now Perez has got to do what he did for Max in Abu Dhabi, but they're not quite caught up to him yet. Perez, of course, on the medium tyre, so he'll go for a lot longer than what Carlos Sainz will.
Yeah.
But as we say that too, Hamilton's making his way through the field, and we know how dangerous Hamilton can be when he makes his way through the field. On the back of Magnussen here, on the older soft tyres, going down the pit start-finish straight, and he's going to get that job done very easily with DRS.
I tell you what, though, it's great to see that Haas actually with decent pace. I mean, it took him a while to finally get past him and level alongside the Haas there of Kevin Magnussen. So just great.
Well, Magnussen was on the soft tyre as well, but those are all older soft tyres. So, and yeah, even with that DRS on that second DRS straight, he wasn't able to regain the position from Lewis. Yeah, just watching the replay, just came swooping past Lewis did on Magnussen.
Looks like Gasly's coming into the pits as well. So after just being overtaken by Lewis Hamilton, looks like he is making his way back. He should be back out now.
It says on the Ferrari, on the F1 feed for the race, it says Verstappen sounds angry on the radio, and having watched the bright red car come out in front of him in the pit lane twice, it's easy to see why. His second stop was half a second slower than the Ferrari's. And now, speaking of Ferrari pit stop, it's Carlos Sainz
and Perez. You were just looking down at the screen, and three of them came in at once, and all of them locked up as they made their way into the pit lane. It was hilarious as you were just looking away. But
I look away and all the action happens. But that's interesting though for Red Bull to pick Perez so early on the mediums.
Are they just sort of like
onto the softs,
covering the other Ferrari? Is that George Russell coming in on the medium as well? Are they just covering in terms of like the same strategy that the other team's doing? So obviously Leclerc, Verstappen are the same. Sainz and Perez are pretty close behind, but as you say, Perez goes onto the soft compound tyre instead.
Yeah, so this will be a crucial couple of laps for Perez to close the gap up to Carlos and then get the job done and then drive away. If he's not able to get that done in the next couple of laps, I think he'll have to accept that he won't be on the podium today, because Carlos is going to eventually get those medium tires warmed up and then take advantage of the medium tire as we go on in the race. We've had 2 pit stops from a lot of the teams now. I mean, we'll have to see if anyone goes for that third one.
My favourite thing is that obviously we're trying to figure out what's going on with these pit stops. I'm listening to the Sky commentary, and they're obviously really experienced, but both of them are tripping up in terms of what tyres each people are on. So we haven't had a season in a while where so many pit stops are happening. It's normally like one stop for the whole race, and it's just like one time.
We have seen in the past with Bahrain that 2 stops has been a strategy used by a lot of teams, unless they were, outside the top 10 and everyone started on the medium and then went to hard or soft or whatnot. But to see everyone get that free roam, it therefore plays into the mind of the mid-tier teams and say, oh, hang on, they've got free choice of tyres now. It's not going to be as easy for us to get into the points now because they're going to be on the same strategy as us. So we have to keep that in mind. And as a result of that, I think we're seeing a lot more entertaining races than what we've seen, a lot more showy moments in races than what we've seen in the past. As Magnussen now comes in for his pit stop, he's going to go onto the medium tyres. It looks like, if I can quite make out the yellow there, the darkness is making it a bit difficult to between. Yeah, it's the medium tyre. Obviously, it's easy to distinguish the soft tyre, but the medium and hard compound tyre, yellow and white, can be a bit difficult to see sometimes in a dark environment as we've got here in Abu Dhabi. I think he went over the curb there a little bit there, Magnussen, and he could lose out here to Gasly on the second straight with DRS. Yeah, Gasly's going to get it done almost. No, yes, he just gets it done. Mm-hmm. Around him, but they're staying close. And
on that turn 4, Connor, just a quick point, Hamilton's had a track limit warning on that turn 4, just come on the team radio as well. So Lewis Hamilton being told, obviously that's the area I think that the stewards are looking at through this circuit, obviously not going over that white line. Lewis Hamilton has been told on the radio just to keep an eye out on that as well. So
just noticed on Magnussen's steering wheel, he's just switched into push mode. So this is a very much a push out lap to get that position back from Gasly, who's on the older tyre compound of the hard tyre. But yeah, that was definitely a mistake that Haas are looking to try and make amends very quickly. They'll get the opportunity to do so down the start-finish straight. Obviously, this has been a brilliant race for Magnussen so far, and for Haas too. No one expected them really to make this kind of leap forward. Of course, we all knew last season they were taking the season off effectively to prepare themselves for this season, but no one expected this kind of performance in the first opening weekend, as now Magnussen goes battling it for the position against Gasly with DRS. Can he look to make a lunge into the corner? Gasly defends. Magnussen looking to go around the outside, locks up a little bit. That could be costly for the Haas driver. And Gasly retains position as a result, but he's going to get a second opportunity here with the second DRS zone. He's got a much better release here, and he has gone past him on the outside into that 5th corner, I think it is, on the track, and gets the job done this time. So now he can push on the medium tyre, but he did lock up a little bit there, so maybe there'll be an opportunity for Gasly later on in this race. I think anyone that's on the medium tyre that's made their second pit stop, Jack, I think should be expecting them to go on to the end of the race now with the tyre compound that they've got. Yeah,
20 laps to go. It will be interesting to see if anybody does actually go on another third stop, but obviously we'll keep an eye on that. I have just entered the first poll of the 2022 F1 season. 47% now say Leclerc, Connor. So, as you say, as the race has unfolded, more people have gone for Charles Leclerc, of course. 38% have gone for Max Verstappen. Carlos Sainz only got 2%, with 11% for others. So, of course, obviously, we'll do a poll for driver of the day as we get closer to the end of the race as well. But Charles Leclerc on 47%. Just going a few points in the chat as well. So, like I say, keep any comments going through on the chat in terms of who you think is going to win the race, where you're watching this stream from. Like I said, please let us know in the comment section. Motorsport Game Addiction, sure enough, Ferrari is now a title contender once again. I mean, something to bring up, Connor. I mean, obviously, as we see Kevin Magnussen making an overtake that looked like an Alfa Romeo, Zhou Guanyu, as it were. Just a point, obviously, Charles Leclerc was a little bit worried that he thought Red Bull would have better race pace, but as we're seeing here, Ferrari playing a little bit underdogs maybe before the season started or before this race started, but very good race pace between Charles Leclerc. I know Carlos Sainz has dropped away a little bit, but that Ferrari of Leclerc doing quite well to hold Verstappen at the minute. So are they level really in terms of performance from what we're seeing in this race?
I think they are. And, we don't even have to look at this season to get examples of that. Look at last season, how many podiums Carlos Sainz got, Charles Leclerc got on the podium as well. These guys were great when it came to one-lap performances in their cars. Charles Leclerc, of course, getting onto pole position for the Monaco Grand Prix. If it wasn't for his crash at the end of qualifying, he could have done well. And Carlos Sainz there complaining on the radio there as I think it was Alex Albon being very aggressive into the first corner for some reason or another.
He just came out of the pits. I'm not sure unless he let him past in turn one. I'm not sure where Albon could have gone, to be honest. It seemed a little bit harsh for Carlos to moan. He would have just had to go a little bit wide. I know it's not what you want to do, but I'm not sure where Albon could have gone coming out of the pit stops, to be honest. I think that was quite difficult. But we're seeing the two Alpines here pretty close to each other. They are currently they're 11th and 12th. The a timing screen that is normally on the channel has disappeared.
10th and 11th, I think.
10th and 11th. Sort of like making up the positions as I go along here, to be honest.
And I think if Alpine's just able to get both cars in the points, that'll be a good day for them. Given they are their own engine supplier, the Renault supplier, it'll be a good performance for them if they're able to get both cars into the points. But what I was mentioning on Ferrari, throughout the last season, we saw that the one-lap pace from Ferrari was very good. It's just over the race itself, they weren't able to maintain that, and they slipped down the field. But as the season went on, it got better for Carlos and for Charles, and now it looks as though all that hard work has rolled on into the season, and it's paying off for both drivers, as it looks as though they're both going to get onto the podium. And I think this might be the first time that we see two Ferrari drivers on the podium since Singapore, when Vettel won and Charles maybe was on the podium. I'm not too sure. I'll have to double check, but
you could be right.
Would be a great outing for both Ferrari drivers if they're able to get both cars onto the podium.
I'm just trying to think. I don't. Obviously, they didn't have double podium last year with Sainz and Leclerc. So, did they? I don't think they did. So it might be Singapore with Leclerc.
In 2019, that would be Singapore. Sorry, not 2020. If I said 2020. I'll check.
Yeah, because 2020 was a pretty poor season for Ferrari, so they were nowhere near.
No. Because that's when they had the penalty during the season, wasn't it, for their engine situation?
Yeah.
Sebastian Vettel, no, he didn't get any podiums with. Just had that one podium in 2020. In 2019, obviously would have been Singapore. Singapore, Max Verstappen, Charles was in second, Sebastian was in first, and they didn't get any other podiums together after that.
Mm-hmm. So it would be that.
It would be that. So a long time coming for Ferrari to see both cars on the podium. As we've got Lance Stroll coming in for a pit stop, very slow pit stop, very slow getaway from him, no traction whatsoever with those tyres in the pit box. And I think that's just been a tale of the race, really, for Aston Martin.
I think Stroll didn't really want to go back out. He's like, have I got to go back out?
So do I have to go back out? God, no.
He's on the phone to Dad. He's like, Dad, is it really worth it?
Oh dear. It could be a long season for Aston Martin, unfortunately.
I bet Vettel's at home thinking, good God, I hope Hulkenberg takes it for the season.
Yeah, unfortunately. Could be a long season for them. AlphaTauri's doing okay. Tsunoda just outside the points. Gasly on the hard tyres ahead in 8th.
We have got a few drivers a lap down now, Connor. So new regulations, and we've got from 14th down are a lap behind, which is a little bit disappointing to start the season. But as you say, lap 40. Leclerc is in first place still at the moment. Verstappen about 3.8 seconds behind. Carlos Sainz 18 seconds behind his teammate Leclerc in first place. And then we've got Perez, as you say, not really being able to make their moves on the soft compound tyre to overtake Carlos Sainz. So, yeah, that strategy really hasn't worked for the minute for Red Bull. Hamilton and Russell 5th and 6th. But again, they're about 14 seconds off Perez. So just showing their outline pace so far at the moment. We've got Magnussen still in 7th place. Great job from Kevin Magnussen so far. Gasly 8th, Ocon 9th. Tsunoda's overtook Fernando Alonso. So Tsunoda currently has the final points position with Alonso just outside. As we're about to see that move on Fernando Alonso by Yuki Tsunoda down to turn 1. Pretty straightforward, Connor, with DRS.
Yeah, got the job done. And on the softer tyres as well, getting that job done very nice and cleanly and pushing on into the points. So that's good for Tsunoda. Just looking as well with when was the last time Charles won the race? Of course, being in 2019 as well, the Italian Grand Prix.
Yeah. Didn't he do back-to-back?
So,
Belgium and Italy.
Yeah. Belgium and Italy. So it's a long time coming for Charles when it comes to winning a race. It will be only his 3rd race ever won in Formula One as well, if he's able to hold position in the next 16 laps. And Carlos Sainz as well. I think Ferrari are in for a real treat this season with 2 very good drivers. Carlos Sainz finishing on the podium quite a few times last season, and he looks as though he's on course to do that again. We'll wait to see if Perez can close up the gap, but at the moment it's about 2.5 seconds between him and Sainz.
Yeah.
So,
but in terms of in 42 laps in, Connor, first race of the season, it was the case last year where a lot of the streams that we had, the races were extended a little bit due to red flags. We haven't had any situations. We haven't had a safety car.
Fingers crossed.
We haven't had
Fingers
any.
Crossed.
Yeah, we haven't had any.
We had the one yellow flag, but that was quickly rolled away.
Yeah, we didn't even see the
back
replay.
Into the steward's pocket. So,
yeah, didn't even see the replay for that. But yeah, nothing so far. It's been quite a straightforward race, and actually, in terms of it, another point to mention, reliability is looking okay. No team has had a retirement so far.
No, only a few minor issues from the teams, but no retirements, as you said. Clean races as well. We've not really seen anything that's been, overly malicious, or not malicious, but overly aggressive from a driver. Only the incident between Ocon and Schumacher causing a penalty. So yeah, so far great racing, I think, and the regulations are playing a treat, shall we say, in terms of battles. But maybe in terms of keeping the cars closer together across the field, we are starting to see a little bit some of the top teams perform as expected. Even Mercedes, they've managed to turn it around in the race, getting Hamilton and Russell into the top 6. So we are essentially, the top has opened up and Ferrari have joined the conversation. The midfield's opened up as well in terms of competitiveness. But in terms of that gap between the top and the midfield, it's still very much there, I think, as a result.
And is it quite a good thing, really? I mean, I don't know if F1 have done this obviously purposely. I doubt it. I think it's just where maybe the financial investment is per circuit. But is it quite a nice idea to have like Bahrain as the first race with a bit more open? So, track limits, they try and get track limits into play, but there's a lot of runoff. And then the next race we go to Saudi Arabia, which, as we saw last year, very much closed circuit, a bit like Monaco-esque. Is it quite interesting to have them sort of like...
very slow pit stop, unfortunately, there for
Lando Norris.
Lando. Not
We've
good.
seen Porpoising on track. It looked like it was wobbling on the pit stop as well.
Yeah, it's just not been a great weekend at all for
not really,
for McLaren, unfortunately.
But in terms of is it quite a nice blend to have Saudi Arabia coming up next, which we know is quite a tight circuit for obviously us to see where the cars are that weekend as well. Some of these cars might be slightly different in terms of their performance looking at next week as well.
Yeah, and Saudi Arabia as well. It has very long straights. It could be a very quick circuit compared to. Although Bahrain is a quick circuit, it does have its slow corners that causes drivers to hit the brakes and tire. If I can get them words out of my mouth again.
First race of the year, it's there.
Tire degradation plays a lot into here in Bahrain because of those slow corners and hard hitting corners, whereas. From what we saw last season with Saudi Arabia, there's a lot of corners where there's swooping corners, so it doesn't play as hard onto the drivers as what it. Oh, another pit stop for Max Verstappen here. Third pit stop for Max. He is third onto the three-stop strategy onto the soft tires for the remaining 13 laps of the race. Carlos Sainz goes into second as a result. Perez coming in for another stop as well. Max is going to have to work through the midfield, but soft strategy for Max Verstappen. We're going to see potentially a tight finish here if Max is able to work his way through the midfield and get ahead. But already we see Lance Stroll battling there to try and get try and unlap himself, but Max keeps him at bay with those soft tyres. So soft tyres on for Max, soft tyres on as well for Perez. So both drivers here looking to push themselves into the higher up into the points, but it's going to come late in the race. And Hamilton as well, splitting the two drivers at the moment on track, shall we say. They are obviously split on track between a couple of other drivers as well that have been lapped in the race. But crucial outlap here for Max as he looks to open up the gap between himself and Hamilton, and he has done so. It was about 10.5, now it's about 11.5, and pushing on forward for Max to try and chase down Charles Leclerc. And
is Sainz going to come into the pits?
We'll have to wait and see as he goes around the start-finish straight now. He is coming into the pits, so the pit stop for Carlos Sainz. He's going to go onto the soft tyres, I imagine, and make sure that Perez can't push back at him to try and take third from this race. Good pit stop there for Ferrari. Max 2.5, not too bad.
Sorry, Conor, I was going to say Max Verstappen really not happy on the team radio. I think he's saying the steering's become very heavy, so I don't know whether something's happened as he's gone into the pits. You can see him weaving in the sector 2 on that other back straight.
Lewis is in the pits as well. Soft tyres for Lewis as well. Free pit stop for a lot of teams now. It looks as though the free pit stop is coming into play, as Lewis thinks he could potentially come into this title fight for third now, and push on as George Russell goes past him. So Lewis will slide back out into 6th as we see Magnussen come down the pit straight. He's way too far behind. So Lewis will comfortably be in the top 6 now. How much more can he do, though, and push on towards potentially pushing towards maybe even third, depending on how well Perez and Sainz do in their little battle. But he's not got a lot of time to do it, only 12 laps to do it. So, and he's got to get past his teammate as well.
Still weaving that steering wheel is Max Verstappen.
Did you start the driver of the day vote?
Yeah.
For a reminder.
Yep. I will. I'll do that now. That's 11 laps to go. But he's not. Not very happy bunny at the minute in terms of Max Verstappen. But obviously, 25-second gap. Let's listen to the team radio again. Oh, fire, Connor.
Oh, massive fire. That's Pierre Gasly there. Could that be a red flag? Because that car's in a very dangerous position coming from that corner. It's not too far away, actually, from the track. Virtual safety car. This is huge virtual safety car for George Russell because he's on the medium tires. If he pits now and goes to the soft, he could retain position in fifth and push on maybe towards third. Oh, could be huge. Mercedes, they have to call in George Russell now, say, come on to the soft tires. It's a huge opportunity for us with the rest of the field being slower than usual. With that car being where it is now, full safety car. They have to pit George now. They have to pit him. They have to pit him. There's no saying no. They have to pit George Russell and get him onto the soft tires. Oh, this is exciting for George Russell here. This is a huge opportunity for Mercedes. He does come into the pits. Here we go. Here we go. We're going to get some exciting racing.
Is that Ferrari coming in? A Ferrari coming in as well.
Ooh. Oh, it's a bit of a slow pit stop, but that's not really going to be too costly for George Russell with the safety car. He's going to slide out very nicely here, and if things play out for him, he could slide out ahead of his teammate. No, Hamilton just goes ahead, but this is a great pit stop for George because he's not going to lose any time at all on fresher tyres. Huge commiserations for Gasly as his car caught fire, and he's out of the race. We'll have to, hopefully they show a replay of what caused that, but it may just be a component overheating, and as a result of that, Gasly just lost all sorts of power to the car as he goes through turn 1 and turn 2, and it looks as though the car just lost all power and he's just pulled up to the side.
Oh, the lights went off on his dash.
The steering wheel's off. So the car's just lost all power, and just jump out of that car as quick as you can, Gasly, and he did exactly that as we get a shot there.
And that's the same corner where we saw fire from Romain Grosjean's house.
Although that was a very different incident.
It was a very different
incident. Grosjean made contact, didn't he? And crashed into the side.
But that's the first retirement of the season.
But yeah, as you said, Charles Leclerc pitting onto the medium tyre, onto the soft tyre, stays ahead. This is a used soft tyre, but he stays ahead of Max Verstappen, crucially.
So that's basically, that is it, isn't it, really? Unless Charles Leclerc makes a blunder.
The cars will bunch up with the safety car, but Max is on the older tyres, of course. The cars, of course, we had the incident in Abu Dhabi with the lap cars, but from what I've just saw there with the pit stop there from Charles, there's no lap cars in between Max and Charles, so we're not going to get any sort of incident like that happening again. But yeah, crucially here, from this safety car incident, George Russell and Charles Leclerc have all pitted, and the field will bunch up again. So this does pay well for Max and for Carlos and for Perez and Hamilton as well. But with Russell and Charles on the newer soft tires, shall we say, not the fresh but newer soft tires in terms of lap age, it's going to be advantage for those guys on the restarts. But we're still waiting for the field to bunch up a little bit. But it looks as though we're going to get at least maybe 8 laps of racing, I would say, once the cars bunch up and the lap cars sort themselves out.
Yeah, let's hope the rules are followed.
Yeah, I wonder if the McLarens decide to pit, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I think
Norris has come out on a soft. I'm not sure what he was on before, but 10 laps to go. Safety car. Max Verstappen still complaining of his steering. Red Bull actually looked like they were about to be, like they were all out in the pit box. So whether they were going to take him again just because of what they were going on with that issue, but he's still not really happy with that car. He's on the team radio once again. Let's have a look. So they're staying out.
Saying something about reliability on the Red Bull team radio, and that's the only way they're called.
They're not sure if it's like a hydraulic issue, obviously with the power steering, but it just says it's sounding a bit heavy. But I mean, you'd look at it and you think, well, Charles Leclerc now has been able to pit, but he probably should be okay until the end now. But you never know if there are any other issues that maybe Leclerc has on that restart. Max Verstappen should be able to be there to pounce, but that does see Carlos Sainz be able to bunch back up as well now. So.
Yeah, and the cars are still quite far apart, and Gasly's car's still not been moved yet. So I still think we're going to get another couple of laps under the safety car before we see any sort of racing. Just looking at the positions of gained and lost throughout the race, it's been a good drive for Tsunoda, up 5 places, up to 11th. Good drive as well, of course, for George Russell, up to into 6th. And now Charles Leclerc, as usual, as we expect with any sort of race leader, complaining about the speed of the safety car as it goes around the track.
He does look a little bit slower than he normally would, though. Is it just the screen? But the safety car does look like it's going a little bit. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a nice looking car, but it does look like it's going slightly slower than usual, which is a bit strange. So yeah, Leclerc's moaning that they're not going fast enough. But as you say, everybody that normally is sitting in that position is complaining about the speed of the safety car. But yeah, it does look a little bit slow, which is a bit strange. But I have put the driver of the day vote out onto the system now. So obviously I put Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, Kevin Magnussen I've put as a out of the blue vote as well. So if you think Kevin Magnussen's done a good job in Haas for his debut back into the sport, if you think it's anybody else, obviously click the other button, but let us know in the chat who you think is driver of the day. We've got a few votes so far, but obviously get your votes in to let us know who you think has been the driver of the day for the first race of this 2022 season. Still smoking, Connor.
Yeah. I suppose they can't move it until they know that the fire is out inside the car. So that's why it's not moved. That would be my logical guess for health and safety reasons of all the steward and marshals that are around that car.
Yeah.
They can't move it unless they know the fire is completely out and it's safe to move it.
Sometimes it's electrical as well, isn't it? So there's like a green light normally on the top somewhere, so to let you know if it's safe or not. I think if it's a different colour, or it's green or purple, I'm not sure which one's which, but obviously you think green would be safe to do. So if it flashes,
is it near the T cam? Is that what it is? Or
yeah, it's normally like an electrical system.
Because I was watching the replay there, and there was like a yellow light next to the T cam. So
right.
I don't know if that's just like an ember from a fire or if that's an actual light.
Because there is like a warning light to say, as you can see, look at that in terms of the actual bodywork. But sometimes it could be electrical where they don't want the marshals to touch the car just in case. But
the car has been moved now, so it's almost near the slipstream. So I imagine the safety car will come in and either on this lap or the next lap. So we'll get at least 7 laps of racing, I imagine. Or 6 laps.
And quick mention, Connor. Obviously, Bottas looks like he's done well to recover to 8th position. Obviously, I don't know if that's safety car, but as it stands, both Haas's in the points.
Yes, good drive from Schumacher in 10th at the moment. He's got Tsunoda behind him, Alonso as well. So it's going to be a tough couple of laps for him going forward. But if Schumacher's able to get his first points in Formula One, that'll be a great story for him. And a reiteration of what I said earlier in the week on our preview show, that Haas are going to have a great season. But I'm intrigued to see how Charles and Max and Carlos battle it out now with the Mercedes drivers right there as well. Lapped cars may overtake the safety car. Yep. So that's from lapped car 18, which is... So we've got Stroll
Albon,
all the way down to Hulkenberg.
Yeah, Stroll,
in last
Albon,
position.
Ricardo, Norris.
So the lap cars will go through, and then once they've gone through, the safety car will come into the pit stops. It will be the next lap after this one, I imagine. I don't think the safety car will come in this lap. Because that's the rules now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lap cars go through, and then the safety car pits the next lap. So we're going to get lapped racing on lap... Or the safety car coming in this lap? Because Charles has backed off a little bit.
It hasn't said safety car in this lap though.
No.
And the lights are still on.
Charles is right in the And
so that gives you say, hopefully gives them enough time now, the other cars, to go around and catch. I think it's Zhou Guan Yu that's the last one that's in the pack. So hopefully by the time they've done that, it looks like Stroll's pretty close now as well. So it says safety cars in this lap, so like I say, it should give the rest of them enough time to get back round. So
the Mercedes car leading the way might be the only Mercedes car that leads the way this season. But we'll wait and see. I just thought I'd mention that.
So we've got six laps gone on, obviously, when they cross the line. You confident, obviously, that Leclerc can still maintain this? Max Verstappen, as we know, is complaining a little bit about his heavy steering. So, yeah, you think this is still Leclerc's?
No. I think Max has always been an aggressive driver on restart, so I'm not confident completely. I hope Charles wins, but I'm not confident completely. Carlos Sainz is there, though, to give protection, so maybe he could have a good start and force Max into defensive mode.
Yeah.
But Lewis Hamilton's there and George Russell's there as well, ready to go. Maybe we could see one of the Mercedes pushing through after mistakes from either the Ferrari or Red Bulls. You know, this is going to be an exciting 7 laps of racing we're going to get. And they're just going around the third DRS straight on this Bahrain circuit. So they're way into the end of Sector 2 and coming up to Sector 3. So I think this is a good time to maybe just review the top 10 before we get through to the restart of the track of the race. So we've got Leclerc first, Verstappen second, Carlos Sainz third, Perez fourth, Hamilton fifth, Russell sixth, Magnussen seventh, Bottas in 8th, Ocon in the Alpine in 9th, and Mick Schumacher in the Haas in 10th, as now they get round towards the last little mini straight, shall we say, before the start-finish straight, as the safety car rushes ahead.
Yep.
Leclerc backs off the pack.
The back 5 aren't close enough, though, so the back 5 from Stroll have not caught up, so... yeah, they're further enough away, obviously, to not affect the front runners. But yeah, look at Max Verstappen there.
And Leclerc's gone. So there you go, Jack. You can go. Take us away.
Yeah, so Leclerc has pulled away. Very good start from Charles Leclerc. Has weaved a little bit.
Oh, Carlos Sainz around the back of Verstappen. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, can he get it done?
I think he might do. Late braking. Obviously, we know Max Verstappen is late on the brakes, but you got to watch out for Leclerc as well. Max Verstappen looks like he's got the job done there. Will Carlos Sainz be able to switch back and make the manoeuvre again? He still looks close to Max Verstappen, so we'll keep an eye on that. Perez isn't close enough, so he won't be affecting in this battle. But Carlos Sainz goes out, tries to think about the manoeuvre, doesn't do it in that one, but he is still close. But obviously, that is allowing Charles Leclerc to pull away slightly as well.
Oh, this could be Charles Leclerc's done, but as Max made a mistake here, and he's going to have trouble hanging on to second with Carlos Sainz pushing through. Of course, Carlos Sainz pitted under the safety car, so he took advantage of having the fresher tyres, not being used on any sort of push lap, only being warmed up under the safety car.
Yeah.
And it looks as though it's paid off for him because he's already 1.3 seconds ahead of Max.
Yeah, no DRS for the first couple of laps as well, so it's not going to help anybody. But obviously, all that does is help Charles Leclerc as well. Sonoda has overtaken Mick Schumacher, so shame for Mick Schumacher. He's out of the points now. Sonoda is the one that's last in the points as well. Fernando Alonso overtakes Mick Schumacher as well, so Alonso's up to 11th place as well. Leclerc, Verstappen, Sainz, Perez, Hamilton, Russell, Magnussen, all the same. Bottas is still in 8th place as well, so still looking decent for Valtteri Bottas back in the points again. But yeah, very much so. 1.6 seconds the gap now between Verstappen and Leclerc. Fastest lap back to Perez. Or is that... Oh, no.
Yeah, it was Perez.
Right.
Yeah, so unfortunate for Schumacher. It's just dropping away now. It looks as though Guan Yu Zhou is going to overtake him too into the first corner. Zhou Guan Yu. Schumacher's defending against Zhou, though, and he just retains position, but we've got the second DRS.
Good bit of racing there, yeah.
Great, good bit of racing between the two young drivers. Zhou looking to get past the Haas driver, but Schumacher holding position, and that's how they'll be going into the slalom. But crucially, it looks as though Carlos Sainz is pushing on to Max, but Max is just keeping him at bay, doing enough, and as a result of that battle in between Verstappen and Sainz, Charles is opening up the gap a little bit more. There's almost 2 seconds now between him and Verstappen.
And the thing for Max Verstappen, Connor, is obviously at the minute, he's not close enough for Leclerc for DRS when that kicks back in. Sainz is within that window still. So obviously Sainz is not making any progress in terms of overtaking Verstappen, but if he stays in this DRS window, he could become a factor once that kicks in a couple of laps time as well. Perez isn't close enough to Sainz. so he's not going to be helping that battle. Hamilton is actually closer to Perez than Perez is to Sainz, so keep an eye out for that. Will the Mercedes be able to overtake that second Red Bull if DRS kicks in as well? So Hamilton really putting the pressure on Sergio Perez as well.
Yeah, I've seen the gap now. It's 0.9 between Verstappen and Sainz. So this is a crucial push lap for Verstappen, not only just to try and close the gap to Leclerc, but to keep Carlos Sainz at bay, and to really make the most of what's being presented here. Lewis Hamilton right next to Perez. It's the same kind of gap between him and Perez as what it is between Sainz and Verstappen. So an opportunity here for Hamilton to overtake the Red Bull driver, who I think still got the fastest lap, but they're not indicating that on the timing board on the broadcast. Showing a replay here of Zhou Guanyu, on Mick Schumacher getting the job done. I did know that Zhou Guanyu spent a couple of seasons in F2. Traditionally in F2, if you are the champion, then you can't race in the next F2 season. But Zhou Guanyu never was able to win the championship, and he spent quite a few seasons in F2. But given his performance today, just outside the points in 12th, it's been a great debut for him in Formula One, I think.
Yeah, no, good job for him, and obviously recovery from his teammate as well, who fell away on the first lap. Bottas went all the way down to 14th and 15th position, so to be back up to 8th place, I think helped with the safety car and being able to pit. So back up to 8th position, starting 6th, so still lost a couple of places, but I think overall looking good for Alfa Romeo. Reliability, touch wood, has been okay for them as well, which was a problem in testing, so looks like they've sorted that. I'm guessing DRS is either this lap, it hasn't come up on the screen, it's either this lap or the next lap. Carlos Sainz, is he in with that window? Yes, he is. He's 7 tenths off. So
he's well in that window. He's like right in the gearbox almost of Verstappen there. On that start, on the end of start finish straight there, and Charles is just flying away. 3 seconds now between him and Max.
DRS is available.
And DRS is open. DRS is on. Max, Carlos Sainz has his back wing open there. So Max has got a defensive work to do here. Charles has pretty much won the race, it looks as though. But could Max lose even more than that with Carlos Sainz right behind him?
And former teammates, Connor, didn't really see eye to eye when they were teammates at Toro Rosso.
No, they certainly didn't. Of course, this has been a long journey for Carlos, over the years with Toro Rosso. Never got the opportunity to race really for Red Bull. Went on to Renault, went on to McLaren, and now he's looking to overtake Max Verstappen, and he gets the job done. He gets the job done on that third DRS zone. Carlos Sainz overtaking Max Verstappen with 3 laps to go now. 2 laps to go, when they start the next lap. But Carlos Sainz is getting the job done. He's pulling away from him too.
It's not good, Connor. He's moaning about his energy recovery system as well, so it's just all going from bad to worse for Verstappen. Perez and Hamilton will be under pressure of him now as well. He's really getting agitated on the radio.
Oh, he's pulling up. He's pulling up.
Yeah.
He's pulling up to the side.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, he's having issues.
That's it. He's retiring. Oh, my goodness. Wow. What a start to the season. Wow. What a start to the season, Jack.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's Sergio Perez on the podium, though. Is Mercedes going to get a podium at this rate? Keep an eye out for this. Hamilton will have DRS. Max Verstappen will be absolutely gutted, as all the Dutch fans in the stadium. But Hamilton pressurising Sergio Perez. There is still a Red Bull on the podium at the minute. Jamie, if he's still listening to this chat, he will be trying to get that Red Bull of Sergio Perez across the line ahead of Lewis Hamilton. But Hamilton smells a podium here, Connor.
Yeah, Hamilton is on his way towards pushing Perez in these last 2 laps. I've just checked as well, I think. It was a 1-2 finish, I think, for Ferrari in Singapore all those years ago. So this would tie that, and this would be essentially a Ferrari kicking down the door and saying, "We're back, folks. We're back into contention." What a drive by Carlos Sainz! I want to redo my vote because I voted for Charles Leclerc on the poll, but I want to give it to Carlos Sainz because this is just a prime example of just wait for your moment, wait for it to arrive. And sure enough, it did for Carlos Sainz. Charles Leclerc is going to go on to win this race, but Charles Leclerc has had a formidable race as well.
Watch out,
And
Connor,
Carlos
because
Sainz
Hamilton
has been
pits straight
brilliant.
now. 0.6 of a second. Oh, Perez is losing power.
Oh, so is this a Red Bull reliability issue? Wow.
Oh, Hamilton, is he going to be able to get him on the last minute? He doesn't look like
No.
he's close enough, but look at the lights. The lights look like they're a little bit dangerous. Are we going to see another Red Bull lose power, Connor? Jamie will be biting his fingernails right now. Another team radio.
And let's note this as well. AlphaTauri is powered by Red Bull.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
is this a whole issue throughout the powered units of Red Bull cars? You know, does Tsunoda know something that, you know, the Red Bull team don't? And he's like, okay, we've got to manage the car now. Could Tsunoda struggle to finish in the points? He's in that region, but we've not really seen much of Tsunoda in the race.
No.
But Lewis Hamilton here, 1.5 laps to go. Perez potentially struggling.
The lights
Could
are
Lewis
flickering
Hamilton
a
get
little
onto the
bit in
podium?
terms of Perez. I don't know if that's part of the electrical issue, because obviously...
Isn't that, when the light flickers, isn't that him charging his
yeah, but it's the top
DRS?
two lights as well. I thought there was like a little flashing underneath that used to be like the reserve. I don't know if it's changed slightly this year, but just keep an eye out, see if he loses power at all, because this will be gutting for Red Bull so close to the end of this race. He still looks like he's maintaining it enough. Hamilton's still keeping within DRS, but just not being able to recover that. So we're going on to the about to go on to the final lap of the race. So this is really Hamilton's moment. He might not get another chance than this pit straight here. So let's just see, is the Mercedes of Hamilton gonna be close enough for Red Bull here of Sergio Perez?
DRS is open for Hamilton. He's causing Perez to move around a lot before the braking zone.
He's not close enough.
Perez stays ahead, but he's going to get a second. Oh, Perez has spun! Perez has spun! Perez has spun going into the corner. Oh, calamity ending the race here for Red Bull as Perez has spun, and that's it.
I think he's stalled. It's gone, is it? I think the car's gone.
No, he hit the curb, I think, going through that corner, and he spun.
But he's not
'cause he spun
moving. He's not
completely.
moving.
Well, he can't move because of the danger of spinning on that corner until all the cars have gone.
But there
through.
was no cars
Just
coming
watch on
then,
the-
and he still didn't spin it back round.
No, he spun on the curb. Oh, he lost the engine, he said. Ooh, maybe you're right.
Engine died.
Wow. So Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc are going to finish this race under the yellow
Hamilton
flag.
on the podium, Connor.
Hamilton on the podium. George Russell in fourth in his first race. Max Verstappen spinning out. Not spinning out. Losing his engine, and with Perez spinning out and losing his engine. Kevin Magnussen's going to finish in 5.5. Wow.
Bottas
Wow.
6th, yeah.
Wow.
Guan Yu Zhou at the minute, he's getting that final point as well as the rookie, a bit like Tsunoda did a couple of years ago, or last season, should I say. But this is it. Charles Leclerc crosses the line. Ferrari at this moment 1-2. Carlos Sainz crosses the line as well. That's Charles Leclerc winning, like you say, for the first time since 2019 at the Italian Grand Prix. First 1-2 since Singapore of that year as well. Lewis Hamilton crosses the line to finish third. Mercedes and Hamilton wouldn't have thought they would have got on the podium this weekend. As you say, George Russell finishes fourth. Kevin Magnussen finishes in fifth place. Sixth place for Bottas. Ocon seventh. Tsunoda does finish. He's the only Red Bull powertrain car that actually finishes the race. He finishes in eighth. Alonso ninth. And Zhou Guan Yu finishes in 10th. Unlucky for Schumacher as he finishes in 11th place. But Connor, I mean, I'm not sure what the hell unfolded there, to be honest. I mean, Ferrari won too, but Red Bull out within 3 laps to go.
Yeah, it looks as though Red Bull have got reliability issues that they need to sort out before Saudi Arabia. Otherwise, they could start to lose points very quickly in what they expected to be another season where they competed for both the drivers and the constructors' titles. If they don't sort out these reliability issues quickly, they could find themselves out of the points more often than not. Mercedes taking advantage of those reliability issues as they've got Hamilton and George Russell in third and fourth after what was a horrendous qualifying for them. But ultimately, Ferrari are back. Charles Leclerc winning the race, Carlos Sainz in second, what a performance by Ferrari over the weekend.
Yeah, and as we said at the beginning on our preview, we did say Sainz and Charles Leclerc would be the team to watch. But yeah, absolutely fantastic performance by both of them. As you said, a couple of laps earlier, Sainz is always in the right place at the right time, and great drive from both of them. But again, Mercedes, right place, right time. Both Red Bulls out, and then Toto Wolff, as he said, it's damage limitations, and they did exactly that. Exactly that. Third place, as you say, podium for Lewis Hamilton. Fourth place for George Russell. Mercedes will be definitely happy with that as well. But obviously, you know, Ferrari, as you say, are back. Mercedes damage limitations. But as we mentioned, Kevin Magnussen back in the sport. Haas, fifth place.
Points on the board for Haas for the first time in a long time. Great points on the board as well for the first time in a long time for Haas.
Yeah.
What a performance from Kevin Magnussen in that car. It's going to be a great season, I think, for all Ferrari-powered cars, including Alfa Romeo as well, who finished sixth, of course, with Valtteri Bottas and Zhou Guanyu in the points as well in 10th. It's going to be a great season, I think, for all Ferrari-powered cars. And Charles Leclerc, you know, welcome back to the top step of the podium for him.
Yeah. I mean, this is what, you know, Ferrari have been waiting for. Obviously,
the cars are so big, Jack, but they can't line them up against each other anymore for some reason.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unless they're giving Charles the top spot on his own. But yeah, they got the third spot right behind him as well.
Perhaps they changed it now, so like the first place gets his own little celebration area. But you can see,
and that's what they should do, really. You know, with the performance it takes to win a Formula One race.
Yeah.
Only his third win in Formula One for Charles Leclerc.
Yeah. Belgium 2019 Italian Grand Prix as well. One of his favourites, I still expect. But this one will feel good as well. Look at all the celebrations with the team, the fans back in Italy. The papers will be absolutely loving this. We know if they have a poor performance, they get absolutely slated. But this one, they will be absolutely loving this race win. And like I say, it's not just a race win. It is a 1-2 for Charles Leclerc and Sainz.
Wow. What a start to the season, Jack. What a start to the season.
Yeah.
We had great racing. We had midfield teams overperforming than what we expected. We had safety car coming out as well, and we had unexpected reliability issues from one of the top teams in the grid in Red Bull. So this is going to be another fantastic season, I think, in Formula One. Ferrari are back. Mercedes have managed to turn it around in the race. And Red Bull have a lot of work to do between now and Saudi Arabia Grand Prix.
Absolutely. And like we say, you know, we were the top runners. You know, everyone was talking about Max Verstappen. This is his title to lose. Red Bull, you know, powertrains this year. This is their season. And we see them not even finish the first race of the year. Very difficult for them. And like I say, it's only a week between now and Saudi Arabia. So they have a lot of work to do. And of course, they'll be looking maybe at Gasly's issue. Is that related? Something to look into, I'm sure, in terms of AlphaTauri as well. We were talking halfway through the race that there was no retirements. And then we have all Red Bull, but it was Tsunoda actually did finish, and he finished in the points. But yeah, Connor, I think you're right. They do actually finish, like first place finish on a different area now. Just like they've parked the car in a different area for him. So
I mean, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool aesthetic there, having the driver profile behind the car. That's really good. I forgot what I was going to say as well now, because I was going to mention something else. This is an indication now that at some point in the season, I believe, Carlos Sainz is going to win a race, which means we're going to get another Formula One winner, which is just brilliant for the sport, I think, as well. Obviously, if George Russell's able to, if Mercedes are able to find a way to get that car back on the top step and rediscover the form that they had in qualifying last season and bring it into this season, then George Russell will get a win at some point in this season. So I think we're going to see at least 2 first-time race winners in Formula One. And, you know, it's going to be, I think, another great season for the sport with potentially new contenders pushing through for the Drivers' Championship in Carlos Sainz and in George Russell, should they maintain this form throughout the season. But, yeah, we're just going to hear from the interviews now
Yeah,
from the team,
like I said, I think
from the drivers. Sorry,
I think Carlos Sainz is deserving of a race win as well. He was unlucky when Pierre Gasly took that race win a couple of years ago in Monza. So I think it's a long time coming for Carlos Sainz. So like I said, hopefully that'll be the case. But yeah, congratulations to obviously Charles Leclerc as well. I'll end the vote in terms of our drive of the day in a minute as well, just before we wrap up. But yeah, I mean, as we say, what a first race of the season. I was gonna admit that halfway through I was a little bit like, this looks a little bit familiar because not too much was happening. Of course, we were getting a few pit stops and that, but it did look a little bit like it was a little bit stagnant. Obviously they were all following each other at reasonable paces, but how that safety car changed everything, and obviously not just that, but in terms of both Red Bull's reliability issues as well. And of course that would have happened whether or less the safety car came out for Gasly. It didn't really matter. That still would have taken effect. So yeah, I mean, great first race of the season. A few different changes as well, as we've seen in terms of Haas and Alfa Romeo having better performance as the new season starts. Are they going to be the same in Saudi Arabia? It's something to look into, because obviously it will be a different style race circuit. So we may see maybe Mercedes a little bit better. Could Red Bull come back? Could Ferrari still be as strong at that different type of race circuit? And like I said, that's only 1 week away as well. So straight back into it for them and for the teams there. So I think Red Bull will be quite happy. As much as they're going to have to review what's happened, they'll be happy there's only a week to go to rectify the issues in terms of performances as well. But yeah, what a first race of the season.
Yeah, great performance by Kevin Magnussen in fifth in that Haas. Good performance as well from Bottas in sixth. Ocon, Tsunoda, Alonso, and Zhou in his first ever Formula One race scoring points. But yeah, I have to spare a thought as well for Mick Schumacher, just outside the points. His time's going to come, and it feels as though, given the performance of the Haas in this opening race, it could come this season for him to score his first ever points in Formula One. So yeah, what a start to the season. And I think it's if you had a win or loss column for the new regulations, I think you have to put a certain tick in the win column for the regulations after this first race, because it's been a brilliant race in my opinion.
Yeah. With
close racing across the field. Sure, as you said, Jack, halfway through the race, we saw a lot of cars getting lapped, and we were thinking, oh, it's just the same kind of story where the top teams overtake the midfield teams. And sure, it probably will be, I think, but ultimately the regulations has narrowed the gap between the top teams and the midfield teams. And as a result of that, we're going to get a lot more racing, a lot more competitiveness, and we'll see a variation of podiums, I think, throughout the season. I think rarely will we see the same two guys finishing on the podium like we have seen in previous seasons, like last season with Max and Lewis, or the season before that with Bottas and Lewis, or back in the days where Sebastian Vettel was racing for Ferrari, where it was Lewis and Seb. I think we're going to see a lot more variations when it comes to the podiums this season. And at times it might not be Ferrari both drivers on there, it might be Red Bull both drivers on there, or both Mercedes drivers on there. But ultimately, I think we're going to see a lot more varied podiums, and as a result of that, we're going to see a lot more drivers competing for the championships, which will be great for the sport overall.
Yeah, and Lewis Hamilton here now as well is obviously very happy. Obviously, like I said, this is the best we could have looked for, and obviously trying to keep progressing, like we say, going on to the next race in Saudi Arabia. In terms of drive of the day, Charles Leclerc got the vote. In terms of our chat, I think it was the same with Formula One. Kevin Magnussen got 22% of the vote, Max Verstappen 20%, and then we had 7% for some others. We have a few points in the chat as that was going on, Connor. We've got Max question mark, and then Barry was happy in terms of like Carlos getting the place, and then no Max was another one. That was what was unfolding at that period. And then Jamie comes in thinking, I don't think this Perez hoodie is going to bring much luck. No, at this rate, Jamie, it doesn't look like it is going to either. Very much celebrating in terms of Italy winning, in terms of Ferrari. So definitely pizza tonight, I'm sure. A lot of pizza going on at that Ferrari paddock. So
just trying to see who got the fastest lap, or if anyone took it from Perez, to see if anyone got an extra point, but I'm not too sure. see what's been said on the F1 Twitter.
Yeah, I can't see it in the top 10, so I think Perez may have still got it, but it doesn't count if he's out, so that's a point not taken for anybody, I think. You have to be in the top 10 to take that point. So.
Yeah. Charles Leclerc back on the top step of the podium.
I mean, what a last few laps, Connor. I mean, that was. We'll just wait for the celebrations, and of course we'll end it because are you doing another watch along tonight? I think, isn't it?
Yeah, in about an hour's time, I'll be watching the Nottingham Forest game versus Liverpool.
Yeah.
So
I want to give you a bit of a break.
Yeah, I'll have time. I'll break. But yeah, this is a great race for Lewis back on the podium after what looked like it would have been a horrible weekend for Mercedes. They've managed to turn things around, but more importantly, I think the Scuderia Ferrari are back when it comes to competing at the top of the sport.
Very much so.
Carlos Sainz in second, and the race winner Charles Leclerc on the top spot.
Is that Mattia Binotto up there as well?
It is.
Why not?
He is celebrating. He's celebrating in style.
Zach Brown did it when they got a 1-2 in Italy last year, so Mattia Binotto's doing the same thing this time around. As we see the Monaco national anthem, and of course we'll have the Italian one as well. But yeah, Connor, in terms of driver of the day, obviously Charles Leclerc got it, but I mean, I didn't put his name down there, which may be a bit disappointing, but Carlos Sainz for you, was it? Or
yeah, in the end, I'll give it to Carlos Sainz. You know, it was very close between Charles and Carlos, but ultimately, you know, we know that Charles is a proven race winner in the past, whereas, you know, Carlos, he had a chance to prove himself with this excellent machinery that Ferrari have managed to come up with so far this season, and he paid it off. You know, even before Max's car was unable to finish, Carlos was there and battling with him from the restart, and ultimately, I think even with Max with his issues, I think Carlos would have been able to get the job done on track and finish in second. So he's going to get my driver of the day after what's been a brilliant race weekend for him. But yeah, Charles, very close second and deserved race winner. And just share out the results. I think share out the rewards. Give Carlos Sainz that driver of the day award.
Yeah, and then we'll give another Ferrari-powered Kevin Magnussen a good vote as well, because I think very well deserved in terms of Haas in general. Like I say, I think Gunter Steiner will be very happy with that, considering the issues that they had last year, and obviously coming into this season in terms of testing as well. Obviously, the news that was going around. So great to have a positive result for all them Haas, team colleagues as well. I think that'll be a great result for them. Obviously, like I say, very disappointing last couple of seasons. Great to have Kevin Magnussen back in the sport, and of course, great to see in the top 5 as well. Unlucky for Mick Schumacher, just finishing outside of the points in 11th place, but still feel like with the power of that Haas that there is more to come obviously from it, and Mick Schumacher hopefully will be in that position to capitalise going forward. Quick mention obviously to the rookie Yuki Tsunoda, as I mentioned, did it last year as well, but great result for Zhou Guanyu in Alfa Romeo as well as his teammate who finished back in where he started, 6th position, Connor.
Yeah, Bottas, good performance by him. We saw throughout the testing period that it looked as though Alfa Romeo may have reliability issues, as with Haas as well, but that didn't play out in the race. And even though Bottas had a poor start, he was able to recuperate and gain the positions back, and got some good points on the board for Alfa Romeo, and as well as Haas with Kevin Magnussen. A good start to the season for both of those teams and both of those drivers as well.
Yeah, nice looking trophies.
Yeah, good trophies there.
Need to find a big cabinet though.
Yeah,
I'm sure Ferrari will have some. I'm not sure where he's going. Oh,
he was going up the steps.
Going a long way around.
I'm not sure why wouldn't they put steps on both sides.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
It's like, why would they not do that? It's
the long walk.
A bit of a design flaw there, so a bit of a long walk around. But Yeah.
Good result for Ferrari, of course. As we mentioned, obviously a lot of talk was about Red Bull and their performances, but Ferrari were obviously downplaying what was going on with them. But yeah, great result for them, and as we see, Carlos Sainz taking that second place trophy as well. So nice haul of trophies back at Maranello.
Yeah, it's going to be a weekend that hopefully Ferrari will be we're hoping to repeat throughout the season. I think. Not only just have a race winner, but both drivers on the podium as well, as it'll be a great for them with their battle towards getting themselves another Constructors' Championship again for the first time in a long time after dominance from Mercedes over the years.
And I have to say, Connor, that this looks the happiest Hamilton finishing in third place I've seen in a while. Normally finishing in third is not a great result, but I'm pretty sure he's pretty happy with that.
And Scuderia are celebrating on the podium, spraying the is it rose water? I think it is probably.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
But they'll drink it like it's champagne, I'm sure, with the celebrations. And obviously going into Saudi Arabia puts them the favourites, you've got to say, at the moment, has it? Especially with the reliability problems that Red Bull have had.
Yeah, definitely. Saudi Arabia, of course, is a little bit different of a circuit to Bahrain, much quicker circuit. Flowing corners allows it to be a bit of a quicker circuit overall. We saw last season how quick Lewis and Verstappen were on the circuit, and the Ferrari powered cars have been quick throughout the weekend. So could be the same story for Ferrari, but I imagine Red Bull will look seriously into the reliability issues and make sure those are overcome before any car begins practice in Saudi Arabia next. Is it next weekend? I thought it was
next
2
weekend,
weeks.
Yeah. So Red Bull have only got a week to sort out these reliability problems, but like I said, they may be glad that it's only a week because they won't want to sit on these problems for any longer than that. They'll want to get straight back out there and try and get a result. So I think we'll obviously end that area with the celebrations, and obviously I know, like you say, Connor, you've only got about an hour before you're doing another watch along for the football for the FA Cup alongside Liverpool. I'm not going to lie. I hope you get a result there.
I hope so too.
But we'll just obviously round it off. I mean, like you say, great result from Ferrari. Mercedes recovering as well. But, the title challenges, the people that we think maybe would be Max Verstappen getting his second world title. We know it's only the first race, but reliability issues that we see, not just for him, but for his teammate Sergio Perez as well. Definitely a huge point to look at, but what a first race of the season for the 2022 championship. Connor, thank you very much for joining me, and of course we will be doing a lot more as we go through the season as well, so let's hope the other races that continue are as exciting as this one. Thank you very much everybody that's joined us on this race watch along. Of course, like I said, the next one will be next week in Saudi Arabia, but we will see you all then. So thank you very much. See you all soon.